The podcast on Haunted Hill will contain spoilers and swearing.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
Make some of this, Michael. Be one of us.
I didn't tell you my name.
Hang up.
I didn't tell them my name.
They're all a part of it. They're all parts of it.
It is time to keep your appointment.
Hello and welcome to the podcast on Haunted Hill, episode 166. Like the sign of the devil.
You said 6. Yeah, you did it, didn't you? 3 6s, naughty boy.
Just realised I just put my hands on my new desk and I just realised the padding's not here, which I always rest on before. I used to use a padding what you get for boilers, which plumbers would use for like hot pipes. You put the insulation foam around it, put that on your side of your desk, works lovely as a little hand rest. And it's not on my new desk because, ladies and gentlemen, I've actually moved. Oh, my name's Gav.
This isn't a podcast about household tips. My name's Dan.
And if this is your first, if you
Here we go. If you're a regular listener, welcome back.
And if this is your first time, welcome front.
And to everyone else, you're welcome around the side. 166. We'll get into your move in a minute, Gav. Apologies, everyone. Part of the reason for the delay, because this is our belated Halloween episode.
Yeah, sorry, but we all do love Halloween.
We still love Halloween. We still do.
Through the year, so we're just having a little bit of a memory back to Halloween because it feels like a million years ago.
Yeah, we thank you all very much for your patience. We also thank you all for blowing up our Facebook page during the month of October with all what you're watching and listening to and everything. It's amazing.
Sorry, we couldn't get an episode out. Did get a little mix out of the patrons, a little DJ mix of some stuff.
Yeah, a little DJ mix went out. For this episode, not only are we celebrating Halloween late and basically catching up, but also we are following on tradition for the last 3 years, because we did the first Freddy movie separately and we did the first Halloween movie separately, and then 1 year we said let's mash them up for Halloween, so we did Halloween 2 and Freddy 2.
Yep.
Then we did 3, last year we did 4, so you've guessed it, everyone, this year we're doing A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child.
Yep.
And Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, both from 1989. Those franchises tend to have the same years, which is odd. But yeah, so that's what we're covering.
Almost like in competition, which kind of they all were with Friday 13th as well in a certain sense.
Yeah, although Fridays were almost putting them out yearly, weren't they? There was almost an annual one coming out for them. But so that's what we're covering.
Arguably stronger series.
Yes, indeed.
But that's because they don't really dive far away from what they knew. They carried on doing what they already knew. The formula was there, and it's just like, rehash this. People like it.
Just put a man in the woods in a mask,
group of
hacking
kids,
people up.
Cabin.
That's what you need.
Apart from when he goes to space, because we didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, but come on, everyone goes to space. Leprechaun went to space.
Well, Machete was supposed to go to space, but I don't think number 2 did well enough.
Pinhead went to space. You know, it's happened. Fast and the Furious franchise went into space at one point.
Pinhead went to space. What was he doing up there?
Yeah, one of the later
Isn't he from
very
hell?
bad. Yeah, but one of the bad.
So where was Hell in
movies.
universe then?
No, somebody must have had that box. I can't remember because it's been years since I've seen that one. But there was one where he was in space. It's like, come on. But like I say, Ludacris was in space in Fast and the Furious, one of the movies there. The car blew up, went into space.
I did see Hellraiser fairly it wasn't recently ago, but for the podcast listeners, ladies and gentlemen, guys, ghouls, non-genders, aliens, spooks, werewolves, yetis,
the undead,
everything. so I actually did watch with Sarah. We did a flashback, showcased a flashback to Hellraiser, and we went and watched Hellraiser. And I've seen it twice now. That'd been my second time then watching it on the big screen, and really enjoyed watching it again. And really appreciated the artistry and the editing, actually, and the way it's been set up. Like the bit when he's trying to take the bed upstairs, and he's going upstairs, and that's being juxtapositioned with like the Angela. Is it Angela?
Yeah.
Having sex with Frank. And then both, and then just as he gets the nail and blood comes out, they come, and it's just like editing back and forwards, and I was like, that's so good.
It's one of those classics that we have yet to cover on the show in 10 years.
Wow. Well,
but it is one that we are covering at some point soon, don't you worry.
Okay, cool. Well, when we do, I could probably get a little bit of an opener for the old teeth chatterer.
Oh. So let's get into it. So yeah, happy belated Halloween to you all. We will be covering off our watches.
And you, sir.
For the month. And for you, for me.
Thank you, dear sir. You, sir. And me, sir.
And me, I don't know what's happening right now.
Happy Halloween. Oh, God, it's gone again. Sorry, listeners.
Gav's back's gone out.
No, okay, it's my new setup. This is good. That's a good time already. So I moved. So the reason we were late and delayed getting an episode out was because I had to. Well, with a couple of reasons. We had live stuff going on behind the scenes, and I had live stuff. As in, I had to move, and then I didn't have the internet for like 4 weeks, and it was just like, well, I can't podcast. Yes, so that was the reason. But anyway,
and you also went on holiday, which is lovely as well.
I did go on holiday last week.
It was a bit of a triple threat for you, wasn't it? Because you moved.
Yeah.
We hoped we would be able to record.
I was quite stressed as well.
You were stressed, and it was probably best that we didn't. But then you didn't have the internet for about 3 weeks on top of that, and then you went on your holiday. And it was like, you know what? Take your holiday. Chill out.
Weird not having the internet, and then I moved into my place, and I didn't have the remote control for the DVD player, and I only had a bag full of DVDs, which I had left over hanging around at the flat because all my shit's in storage. So I had the in-betweeners on just put it on the DVD player and press play. I didn't have remote control, so I just had to hope for the best. It was. I don't have TV because I don't pay for TV license. So I had no internet, no nothing.
Nothing. Just a shirt on his back.
Anyway, that spring sound a minute ago wasn't my back pulling out. It's I've got a new proper setup. It's sounding shit, obviously, but I've got a new setup, which is like a new desk and everything. A new very fast internet, which is very good. Very quiet room, and I've got one of those proper microphone setups. I've got a proper mic on me, everything, rather than before not being comfortable sometimes, leaning forward. Now I don't have to. Anyway, that's me.
And that's the delay.
Yeah. I love the fact when you move, you go, right, I don't need this. Like 2 days before you move, you just go, random shit. Throw it away. I fucking don't need it. Move in. A week after moving in, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to go and buy that thing that I threw away literally 7 days ago.
Yep.
Oh, for God's sake. And losing shit. How'd you lose stuff?
The joys of moving.
Yeah, stuff I lost. And then, like, just stuff. Yeah, I got really small flats, really small, but it's all right, though. I need to get... I was going to watch Polanski, or, I know, it's a blacklisted word there. I was going to watch The Tenant. You remember The Tenant, Polanski?
I do.
Yeah, just because I feel a bit like that now. I'm in a block with a load of different people. That sort of thing. But we'll see how it goes. It seems to be very quiet at the moment, so no complaints.
Well, there we go, guys. That's what happened. It's not the longest hiatus we've had. It's been about a month, but we're back. We might get back on track in time for Christmas. We can jiggle the schedule around. We'll cover that in the outro.
And do you know what? Another thing, living here and not living out in the fucking sticks anymore, where I only had one shop which below me, which is great, but it shut at 9 o'clock. And I had to listen to that fucking co-op music over and over and over and over.
Coming up through the floor.
Oh, my God. I actually have now, walking distance, I have multiple different restaurants, takeouts, everything. Like stone's throw. It's fucking brilliant.
I'm very pleased, and I can't wait to come in and christen it with you. I mean,
my belly has been very pleased, and it's shown its pleasedness by getting larger. Here you go, there's another segue. I had a Freddy Krueger jumper because I was doing a music video which should be coming out soon with someone dressed as Freddy Krueger, so I had a costume. So I went to DJ at a Halloween party in a pub in an old town I used to live in because I live in a different town now. And I was just going downstairs with my DJ gear, and I was like, oh, this Freddy Krueger jumper, because I normally wear dark clothes, which hides things like fat, you know. And I was like, what's up with this jumper? It's well creased. And I went to actually karate chop the crease to slim it down and it was my belly.
Oh,
I was like, oh no.
Well, you can have a belly. We're not fat shaming here. You know, I've got a dad bod.
Yeah.
I always tell my wife I've got the body of a god, and that god is Buddha.
Yeah. I've just been eating lots. I think it might be a colder thing. It is getting colder now.
Me and my wife have been saying this. We eat a lot more when it's this type of weather. Because it's colder at the moment here now in the UK. We've had a lot of snow. We've had 2 days of snow where I live. So it's...
A little bit, not much. And I've had for a DVD for ages, sitting around, I haven't seen before, called Snow Day with Chevy Chase. And I've never seen it. And I was like, fucking hell, if it snows anymore, I'm staying in and I'm watching Snow Day. So I'm waiting. It didn't know.
That sounds awful, but also
it'd be terrible. It'd be so bad.
But I want to see it at the same time.
Well, of course.
Well, cast your minds back, everybody, to Halloween, and we'll tell you how our Halloweens went, and then we'll tell you what we watched.
Let's
for the
wind the
month of
clocks back
October.
to Halloween.
Rewind. So, yes, Gav, Halloween was fun. You go first. Tell me what you did, trick or treating. You've already said you backed the party you DJ'd at.
I DJ'd at a Halloween party, which was cool because loads of people dressed up, as you would. Mainly women. Women seem to be the ones that dress up. Blokes kind of put a bit of an effort on. If it's down a pub, it's a bit of an effort, but the ladies love it. And which was great because they were up for dancing, so I managed to pull a few ladies in and get them dancing, and then when the women are dancing, the men seem to just go, oh, and they wander in with their points back and forwards with their mates, just go, looking at the women.
Like zombies.
Yeah, pretty much. But they all start dancing, and then I was just banging out loads of fucking great tunes. Mate Johnny came down, and I kind of used him like African Barbara, not in that sense, but like African Barbara with Jazzy J, and he would... African Barbara would stand then to say, do this, do that. I kind of switched it. Drunk people would come up to me and say, excuse me, and because they want a request. And I just point at Johnny, and Johnny just stand there behind decks going, just happily chats away to them, and then they forget what they're on about, and I just carry on DJing. It's brilliant. But it was good. I finished on Killing the Name Of, which is fucking great.
Did you play Ghostbusters?
Fuck yeah.
Did you play Monster Mash?
Yep.
And did you play Thriller?
Yes, I did. It was the first time playing Michael Jackson in a very, very long time.
Good. Well, you ticked all my boxes there, even Thriller.
It went really well. I played loads of shit. I even went at one point went into like a load of house music. I did rock. I did metal. I did hip hop. Yeah, loads of shit. It's good. Anyway, so I dressed as Freddy for that. I had a Freddy costume. Went out with the kids actually with the Freddy costume on, just the hat, the glove, and the jumper because it does the job. Because I wear glasses, it's really shipping mask. You just can't do it, you know. Went out with the kids, trick-or-treating, that's good. And then watched Trick-or-Treat with Charlie, who then fell asleep as soon as it finished, and was actually falling asleep through it. And then I went home, and I came back here and I watched, it's so nice to watch it again. Since we covered it, I hadn't seen it, and I watched Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
I so enjoyed watching it. It's such a pleasant, innocent pleaser.
It's cozy, isn't it?
It's very, very, very cozy. I was super happy just sitting watching it. I had like a cup of tea, and it's like, this is lovely, you know.
It's so funny as well.
And it's great,
funny.
yeah.
What knockers?
What did you do?
So the kids were at nursery, but we picked them up. I picked them up early because they've been hyped all month for it. Because it's coincided with Jack's potty training. Edith's been potty trained for a few months. Yeah. So every day he has a dry day at nursery. The incentive is he gets a Halloween tattoo. Not a real one, I might add, listeners.
Oh, come on. So what, like 1 year he gets a Rob Zombie Halloween tattoo?
So every day he's had a tattoo. So have I, and so's Edith. And they don't really wash off for weeks and weeks. So Jack's still covered in tattoo. He's got I had a sleeve on the arm I don't have a sleeve on. Jack's got a sleeve. His tummy's still covered in trees.
She's done his forehead and shit.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I didn't because they don't really tend to wash off very much.
That's why.
So they've been getting hyped all month for it. And on the day of it, I made the decision that they are too young to take out, really, because bedtime's still a bit dodgy, you don't know. Yeah. So in the end, Jack dressed up in his werewolf costume. Edith dressed up in a pink angel costume she's got, and she told everyone she was a garden angel. So that's fine. I think she meant garden fairy, but that's cool. And I just wore my John Carpenter Halloween t-shirt, and we spent about 90 minutes answering the door, and Jack and Edith were so brave.
That's what I was going to say. You enjoy this now, because I haven't been able to stay in and have people come do that for years and years and years, because I've got kids of multiple ages. So since Charlie would have started, before that, obviously, people would come around. So I miss that, sitting at home with a movie on and people then opening the door, giving them chocolate. I want to do that. So I'm looking forward to doing that again. But for years and years, Halloween time, I'm out with the kids.
We watched, I can't remember what the kids put on now, some Halloween type cartoon. But so they didn't want to leave the door. So we had to stay in the hallway because they couldn't wait for the next person to knock on the door. And it was like loads of kids dressed up as cats and pirates and zombies and Harry Potter. So they absolutely loved it. And they were so good at giving out like one bag of sweets to each child. And they made sure they really, really enjoyed it. And they cried when they had to go to bed because they didn't want it to be over.
And a bit overwhelming for them.
I'm sure. But they really enjoyed it. So that was what we did, really. And then I watched my last two films, which I'll get to when we cover our lists. And I went to bed.
I reckon I've got 3 years left, and I'll be at home. I'm looking forward to being able to.
Jesus, I thought you were revealing something then. I've got 3 years left, and I'm dead.
Looking forward to being with Sarah and sitting there and going, hey, and open up the door and stuff, because she does that. And I've never spent one Halloween with Sarah because I'm always trick-or-treating.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it this year. Really enjoyed it, and I think I will again next year, and probably next year will be the first year we go out and knock on a few doors with them.
Yeah, I managed my 31. I did over 31, to be honest, but I only counted 31. I could have counted a couple more, but I'm weird and I have to stick with the exact number because I think probably autistic. I was about to say authentic.
I'm authentic.
It's the wrong word.
I'm artistic.
Artistic.
And I'm autistic.
I'm autistically, authentically an artist.
Well, I went above and beyond this year. Do you want me to go first, whiz through mine very quickly, or do you want to do yours?
Yeah, you doing 31, or you?
Well, I ended up doing.
I was going to say choose like your best
90.
31, but that might be quite hard.
I think it was 90 I did in the end.
You can't say.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do them all. But for anyone who didn't hear, my main thing this year was going to be the old Universal's horror movies from the 30s and 40s and into the early 50s, which I did. I started with Dracula. 1931's Dracula. I did all the classics and all their sequels. And I did pretty much every single one. In fact, I did, let's have a quick look, 37. I did 37 of the old Universal horror movies. That was great. A lot of them I hadn't seen. A lot of the sequels to some of the, The Invisible Man, there's like 5 sequels. And some of them were good, some of them weren't, as you can imagine. I did all the creature movies. I did the Abbott Costello movies, which I'd never seen, because I've only ever seen Meets Frankenstein, which we covered. But I also watched The Invisible Man, and I watched Meet the Mummy as well. So that was great. Just a very quick tangent. My top Universal horror movies are The Invisible Man, the original Invisible Man, Island of Lost Souls, Frankenstein, and Bride of Frankenstein. Those to me are just the top dogs when it comes to the old Universal horror movies. I also got inspired watching them to go slightly off chart and watch stuff that was inspired by Universal. So I watched Monster Squad, which obviously is heavily inspired by that. I watched The Mummy from 1999, which I'm a huge fan of, with Brendan Fraser. I also then watched the second Mummy movie with him and the third Mummy with him, because I do like those movies. They're good, fun, blockbuster, special effects movies, and the effects perhaps don't hold up as well.
No.
And then before I get into the other big thing I did, I then was getting towards the end of the October, and I'd ploughed through them all. So I then did some favourites. I did Van Helsing, which is technically a Universal horror film. I did The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah, do you like it?
Really, 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 really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's for me, isolation, boat shit.
It was like Alien. It really was like Alien, but on a boat 150 years ago. And obviously we know that everybody on that boat is going to get killed. But the scene with the little boy, I was thinking, oh, hang on a minute, he's going to die because everyone on this boat's going to die. And I was really invested in it and some of the characters in it, especially the Doctor. I really liked the Doctor. So really enjoyed that. I also watched...
Very, very quickly, speaking of boats, something I really enjoyed watching, Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous. It's kind of a young adult type animation thing.
CGI animations on Netflix for anyone that wants to watch it. My kids love it. I've watched it.
Really good. The newer versions, which is called Something Else, is the kids when they're grown up. There's 2 seasons of it. Have you seen that one?
Not yet.
Really good. Really, really good. There's one, I think it's the first episode possibly of season 2. It's on a boat with the dinosaurs and they're hiding away and there's a massive thunderstorm and a dinosaur gets out. So most of the episode is them trying to get around the boat with pouring rain on them with a dinosaur kind of hunting them down. It's so good. I was so impressed with this, and I said to Sarah, she's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And it's like, no, this is really good shit. It's like the animation's great, the sound effects are proper spot on. Yeah, it's really, really good. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that because you reminded me of it.
It's really good.
Really good.
Then I watched a few of my other favourites like Hubie Halloween. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I was chatting to somebody, our buddy RJ McCready, and he inspired me to actually go back and revisit Pumpkinhead. So I watched that too. And then my final watches on Halloween Day were Monster Squad in the day, then Trick or Treat once the kids were asleep. Then I was up, I was awake. So I figured out, you know what, Gav? 1978's Halloween is going on. So I finished up on that. But a big chunk of my... and you'll be very excited about this, a big chunk of my watches out of the 90 were the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes, which I'd never seen.
And it influenced me to go through all of them as well, so I was piggybacking on you after you.
And they were fucking brilliant.
I really enjoyed going back to the early ones.
That was one of my favourite things about October, was watching those.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. As they go on, they're kind of like, yeah, the original ones are so funny.
Up to about 15, they're inspired. Then they kind of dip in quality for about 10 years. I feel like they've got better. And then I also watched the spin-offs, like the Thanksgiving of Horror episode.
It episode.
The It episode.
Which is quite new.
And they've also there's an entire episode which is not a treehouse called The Halloween of Horror, where they're scared of their decorations in the house. And then, because Disney Plus likes to play tricks on me, they released the new season of The Simpsons on the 1st of November. So on the 1st of November, I did watch it. It
wasn't very good.
It was all right. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. And it's one I'll go back to, probably not every year, but certainly... I'm itching. Perhaps next year I will go back and watch them all again because I can see now.
You've only seen them once. You'll forget loads of gags, and actually you'll find new gags all the time watching The Simpsons.
And the amount of blood that they get away with is insane, and the jokes. It's all very funny and it's brilliant stuff. But yeah, so I had an absolute ball. 90 is probably my personal best, but obviously you've got to bear in mind that about 40 of those were 22-minute Simpsons episodes. So
yeah, and
the Universals are all 1 hour long, a lot of them.
Yeah, I watched all the Simpsons. I didn't count them. I'll go through my 31, which I haven't actually counted. I won't linger too long. Taste of Blood of Dracula. I ended up doing quite a lot of Dracula originally. Hell House 4. Which is alright, it's not too bad.
The newest one, and I hear there's a 5th one.
I think they're just shooting at the moment.
Interesting.
Boys from County Hell for the last episode. Blair Witch Project again. Really enjoyed watching that again. It's only really, without credits, it's only an hour and 11 minutes. That film.
Great film. Absolutely fantastic.
And it's just because I've been balls deep in found footage, really, because I'm just finishing up Amanda, which has come along really,
Such
really
a great
well.
phrase, balls deep, isn't it?
Yes, it's come along really well. So I've just been watching like the Granddaddy and some other found footage stuff just to keep me in the loop. Watched Extraordinary. Did Kill List again, which was really fun. I really, I find Kill List kind of fun. I really enjoy that movie. I watched Paranorman with the kids. That was kind of fun. Well, we tried to watch it. Elijah wouldn't have it. No, I'm not watching it. Whatever. Just go do Roblox as normal. Fucking VHS Beyond, latest one.
Any good?
There's a couple of bits all right. It's like a cop one and stuff. There's a couple of bits okay.
Hit and miss.
Yeah, I don't know, VHS. Dracula's Risen from the Grave. I had it on VHS when I was a teenager, but I never really, as a teenager, really kind of appreciated so much Hammer horror films because I was jumping on all the new shit which was just starting to come out, or just jumping on the stuff like, say, Fright Night. And even though it wasn't really new when I was a teenager, I was like 10 years behind me. I was 10 years in front of that. It was still a bit more modern than the Hammer movies. So I kind of watching it and I was like, shit, I've never really seen it apart from like maybe a couple of times on VHS. Really
and Gav
enjoyed.
And I have a suggestion to anyone who's listening from Hammer Studios.
Oh, yeah.
Get a fucking channel on, like Shudder. Get a channel
Just
on Prime.
make a channel on app, which is a Hammer channel.
I will
How many
pay-
people would subscribe to that?
I will pay $4.99 a month.
They already
to
own
have
the
access
films.
to all the Hammer films.
They already own. It's just like, just put them out. I would pay for a subscription, so at night time I could go, I'm just going to go to sleep watching a Hammer movie.
And the same could be said for the Universal movies, but that's probably different because it's tied up in Universal Studios. But the Hammer movies, that's their own studio. They could do it.
It's because you can, they're all over the shop, Hammer movies. You can find Twins of Evil and some other bits and bobs, Circus of Horrors and sort of, or Vampire Circus, whatever it's called. So random stuff like that here and there. And then you might find on Prime there might be a couple of Frankensteins with Peter Cushing. And then it's just all over the place.
Yeah, it's hard
and
to track them
quality
down.
changes. So I don't know why they don't do that. I watched Identity, which
You love that one.
is kind of a dark thriller. I don't know if it's classed really horror, but there's a lot of horror elements in it for sure. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that film, even though know the ending. It's still fine. Ghost Adventures. Fancied watching that?
Yeah, that's good movie.
Yeah, it's not bad. Curse of Frankenstein.
Yep.
That's right.
Oh, is that the one where with the rape scene?
Yeah, it's quite full on. It was the most dark, unhappy Hammer movie I think I've
Peter
seen.
Cushing was not into doing a rape scene, as you can imagine.
It was just really unfun. It was
Him
like,
and the actress both had a meeting with
I think
the head of the studio and said, we don't want to do this, and they pushed them into doing
I think
it.
they dialed it down as well, like it was going to be worse. Destroy All Neighbours.
Yeah, I really want to see this. Any good?
I can't even think what that is right now. I literally just read it and went, what the fuck's Destroy All Neighbours? What is that?
Okay. It's like a zombie comedy. It's supposed to be very good, supposed to be fun, but I've not really heard much about it online. So
Jesus Christ. See, my life's changed so much since then. Where is it on Netflix?
I don't know. It's not on Netflix.
Oh no, it's Shudder. I had a Shudder
Okay.
subscription. I don't know, can't remember. Brilliant. Ash vs Evil Dead season 1, bang that out. Really enjoyed that.
Amazing. Yeah, it's good. I think the first season is probably the strongest out of the 3 seasons.
Scream 96. It's not called Scream 96, but I have to say that. The Borderlands found footage. I've always put that right up there with Blair Witch, and watching it this time I was like,
I bought it
It's very
because
good.
you recommended it so much
charity
to me.
shop. Yeah, it is good, but it's not as
I wasn't into
good.
it.
Yeah, it's not as good as I thought it was for some reason.
Funnily enough, it's right there, the top of my DVD pile. The next
I'll
time
still take it.
I'm going to watch it again, just to
Okay.
give it a second watch.
I'll take it if you don't want it, but yeah. Maniac Cop. I fucking love Maniac Cop.
Great. Bruce Campbell.
We haven't done that, have we?
No, but we are going to be pairing it up with, I think Police Academy, did we say? Because it was going to be Wolf Cop, but Wolf Cop is really shit. I've watched it again recently, and it's not great.
No, Wolf Cop, I know.
But Maniac Cop and Police
Wolf
Academy.
Cop is such a frustrating film because the wolf looks amazing.
Transformation's good.
It's really, yet the film's just like, he's a cop. It's like, why didn't you just make it like a decent werewolf movie?
It's worse. The second one's worse though.
Hubie Halloween, Return of the Living Dead, which I fucking loved watching again. I hadn't seen that since I was a kid. Then I put a trailer on for part 2, and I was like, this is bullshit, absolute bullshit. Just looking at the
Another
trailer.
one we've never covered.
That Return of the Living Dead is such a almost genius film. I think it's very, well, it's probably not underestimated, but you don't hear about it that much.
All you patrons out there, anytime I say we haven't covered that one,
Return of the Living Dead, if you like that, fucking we'll do that. I watched Nothing But Trouble, which is not technically a horror movie, but the premise is it's about a family out in the middle of nowhere, kind of got their own sort of town, and they decide if people are going to be in a court, if they've made themselves, if people could be killed or let free. Which is great. It's
kind of in the same vein as The Burbs in some ways, and
yeah, who's in it? Dan
Aykroyd and John Candy, I believe, as well.
John Candy.
John Candy.
Yeah, John Candy's in it. Yeah, he's a woman in it.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase.
It's a movie that we rented out when I was a kid, and
Tupac.
Is Tupac in it?
Tupac's in it. Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's a dancer.
Oh yeah, the rappers. Yeah, because
he's a dance and singer for Two Live Crew. Not Two Live Crew. Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah. Well, we rented that out when I was a kid, and I remember not feeling feeling uneasy watching it.
Yeah, it was a weird one.
And I don't think I've ever seen it since.
Watch it again. It's a real weird film. It's Demi Moore.
It's got quite a big cast in it.
Yeah, loads of money spent in it. It flopped really badly, but watch it again. You never
thought you'd have a John Candy and a Tupac in a movie together, but...
It's such an odd movie, but watch it again. So I put that down as horror. I put it on my 31. Some people will be like, you can't do that. I did it! Halloween 5, Halloween 79. After watching Halloween 5, spoiler, I know we're about to review it, I was like, a palate cleanser. 78, sorry. The original,
I thought that was one I'd missed.
The original Halloween. Sorry, yeah. And then I did Housemaid in Nightmare Park, The House in Nightmare Park, which I fucking love that film.
Fun.
If no one knows that, it's very British. It's Frankie Howard, which is a British comedian, stand-up performer, known for Carry On films and other bits and bobs. And
we covered it, didn't we?
Yeah, it's such a fun film. So I did that again. Ghost Ship.
Yeah, great.
Because I had nothing to watch. All my shit was in storage. When I was out and about and I was in a charity shop, I was like, fuck it, I watched it. And I was like, Ghost Ship, fine. I'll watch that when I get in because I can't watch anything else. Got Ghost Ship, really enjoying it. In fact, it's actually a gold heist. The movie's a gold heist, but there's ghosts trying to stop them. But then all of a sudden, it goes really, really shit. Like about 40-50 minutes into it, and the ending, spoiler, the ghost basically got himself into the group early on, and so, hey, I've come up, I found a ship, and basically he, as a ghost, goes around every time he needs his ship being patched up as a ghost. He gets humans to do it, but he gets in there, right in there, pretends he's a human and says, I've nowhere there's money, but we're going to patch up my ship while we look for the money. Then I'll kill you. That's Ghost Ship. Like, what the shit? How much cocaine was used when you came up with this idea?
It's cheap, it's trashy, but it's one that people remember.
It's not that cheap though. If you look at the cast and like the production and like the money, it's shot on ships and stuff. It would have cost quite a bit of money. It
was out around the same sort of time as Final Destination and those sort of movies.
It was going really well, but I was like, hang on. They did this in The Fog. Pirates had gold. I wanted their gold back, so I might as well just watch The Fog. Which, funny enough, I'd watched The Fog. So that must have been why I did that. Did Race with the Devil, man.
That's great. We're covering that. We're pairing that up with...
Okay, trouble with Race with the Devil is absolutely preposterous when you actually think about it. The fact that these these 4 people witness one person being murdered and killed. Basically, a lot of resources, money, time, machinery, cars get smashed up, people get killed, chasing these guys. Like they're like basically radioing ahead of other towns.
It's a bit like Mandy.
It's so preposterous though, because it involves a massive mile radius, probably about 40-50 mile radius around them, because they don't know which way they're going to go.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. When you think about it, you're like, this is just...
You lent me that on DVD about 10, 15 years ago.
It's
and,
a fun...
I absolutely loved it.
It's still a fun film if you can...
The scene with the sacrifice is really dark.
Yeah, you got to take your brain away from it though, because it's a bit ridiculous. Dracula, Prince of Darkness, one of my faves.
Nice.
Paranormal Activity 2, wanted one to watch. Not one to watch, I wanted a one to watch, so I watched 2. If that makes sense. The Oddity. This is a really good Irish movie. Shudder, about a blind medium whose sister is murdered, and she thinks she knows who did it. Yeah, worth a watch. Pretty creepy. Gonna recommend that because that's called The Oddity.
Okay.
Original Hellraiser, like I said, and finished up on 31 with, like I said earlier, Trick or Treat.
Trick R or Trick Or?
Well, the recent one.
Yeah, Trick or Treat. Yeah.
Trick or.
Yeah, that was one of my. I watched that on my final day as well. It's one that I watch pretty much every year now, really. But there's 2 more I just very quickly want to mention. Haunt from 2019, which is about people going to one of those scare houses, and then it turns into a bit of a jigsaw film, but really good. And another one which I really have been wanting to go back to, which is The Houses October Built.
Yeah, I couldn't find anywhere to watch it.
Fucking terrifies me, Houses October Built. It's just...
I was going to watch it, but I couldn't see it.
That's kind of up there with Hell House LLC for me, with regards to that kind of scare and realism and found footage stuff.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it sounds like you had a blast. It's funny, we both watched Trick or Treat and Halloween and Hubie Halloween, so that we crossed over a couple of times.
Oh yeah, definitely. We do have similar tastes, but obviously sometimes me don't have similar tastes.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know me, I always set out like a theme. This year for me, it was the Universal Horror movies and The Simpsons, so... I
did go to cinema very quickly. I watched Heretic.
Yes, with Hugh Grant.
Yeah, which Hugh Grant's incredible in it. He's really enjoying himself in his mature ages of being an actor. And the story in the film is really good to a certain point, and I can't spoil it with my opinion, but then it gets to the point where it's like, don't know if I'm going to watch this film again.
It's getting absolutely rave reviews online. And it's got a really high IMDb score of 7.2.
It's because at a certain point, his conviction and what he's going... I can't spoil it. What he's trying to achieve becomes redundant, and it's completely pointless, and it makes the film absolutely nonsense. It's such a shame, but I can't... To me, obviously, to my opinion, obviously... Well, yeah, of course, to me, because I'm the one saying it. But
I haven't seen it, so I can't say anything.
But it does, though. I'd love though, someone else too who doesn't agree with and disagrees with me, and it's like, oh, it's perfect, whatever, to discuss it with me and explain it to me. But I loved everything leading up to it. I loved the whole religion thing. I loved it. Really, really enjoyed it. I was looking forward to it so much, and I loved loads of it until a certain point.
Well, I definitely want to check it out, but I probably won't be able to get out to the cinema to watch it. Since Halloween...
It was like a magician with a misdirect, it felt like.
Since Halloween, I have watched a couple of... I'll quickly throw at you. I was having a bit of a down day with my mental health. Hold my hands up there. And I watched Weird with Daniel Radcliffe.
Do you ever jerk off if you're feeling sad?
No.
Give that a go.
Okay, hang on a minute. Oh yeah, it works.
Not right, that was quick.
Yeah. No, I watched Weird, the Al Yankovic story with Daniel Radcliffe, and that put a big smile on my face.
I watched that while I was having my leg tattooed, which I've tried. I have tried to take a picture of my leg for the group to show everybody. I've got a real Evil Dead leg, and I can't get a good one picture, so I've just given up. So
you need to get Sarah to take a picture of it. That's because I couldn't get a
or
picture
film.
of my...
I think filming it would be better.
Because I couldn't get a picture of my sleeve, so
Yeah, 'cause
I ended up getting
it's-
two sides and then putting that up.
I've got little small legs that curves quite easily. Curves, so it looks odd in a picture. Anyway,
I want to talk about one quickly that I was really disappointed with. The Menu.
oh, and very quickly, Weird Al Yankovic. While getting it tattooed, not that tattoos don't bother me that much anyway. I laughed all the way through it. I thought that movie was fucking genius.
I'll go back to that very quickly. Yeah, exactly.
So good.
And I'm not even the biggest Weird Al Yankovic fan. I think he's brilliant and a genius.
I'd
and
happily
very
watch
funny.
that again. That film.
But it was so good. Daniel Radcliffe threw everything he had into that, and I love the fact that Daniel Radcliffe is
He's
just picking
doing
up
really
these,
odd roles.
he did
Yeah.
Horns, he's done this, he's done Guns Akimbo. It's just great, and he was brilliant in it, and it was really
it's such a
funny
good film.
twist on real life.
Yeah, really
highly
funny.
recommend it.
It's just it's a lovely. It's kind of like the Banksy documentary, Exit Through the Gift Store, where it's like Banksy himself, the way his art is.
Yeah.
The first half is about Banksy, then it flips on the filmmaker who's making the documentary. That's kind of like with this, where real life things didn't happen, but the way they've done it, it's almost like it did happen. And Weird Al Yankovic is like thought of everything first. It's so good.
He's a man that's known for his parodies.
So that's what it's
So the
doing.
movie
It's
is a
very
parody.
good. Yeah, it's so
very
good.
clever.
I told Sarah about watching it. She's like, nah, it's not for me. And it's like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's really, really good. The one movie I was disappointed with, just mentioned, is The Menu from 2022 with Ray Fiennes.
Shame. I watched that twice in 1 week. I so liked
Really,
it.
really heard good things about it. I thought it was a really interesting idea, but I just thought it was just a bit bland. I'm not saying it was an awful film. I still gave it 6 out of 10.
Which is funny because it's about food.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, I still gave it 6 out of 10, but I don't think I'd go back to it. It wasn't really.
I really liked it. Like, seriously,
Yeah,
watched it twice in 1 week. I never do that.
But
The Gentleman.
films.
That's the other time I did that.
the 3 films that I would highly recommend if anyone hasn't seen them. I finally watched Becky
Yeah, I've seen it.
from 2020, which I was blown away by.
Thing is good, isn't
Absolutely
it?
loved it.
As a rough guy.
Kevin James.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's quite funny because kind of think of Kevin James as kind of
I love a revenge underdog movie, and this was everything for me. But straight after that, I went straight into the sequel, The Wrath of Becky, which is just as good. It's only 0.5 lower for me. I gave Becky 8. I gave The Wrath of Becky 7.5. If you haven't seen it, it's brilliant. Sean William Scott
he's in it,
is
isn't he?
the baddie, and he is the head of like a cult of neo-Nazi type people that she goes up against. You've seen it all before in the first one, but it's done slightly differently, just as gory, and great soundtrack. And I think the girl in it, Lulu Wilson, is fantastic. So those two were brilliant. And then I finally watched the other night Megan,
Oh,
and
not
I
seen him.
absolutely loved it. Probably the best Blumhouse movie I've seen in years. Really creepy. Incredible effects, because when Megan is just sitting down, it's a real animatronic, but when she's walking around or dancing or talking, it's a little girl who they hired who's an acrobat. She's a black belt in karate and a gymnast and contortionist, and she's wearing the mask. So obviously a doll's mask is easy to wear for a child. So really great blend of effects, really creepy. And the end, there's a couple of scenes in it that are really creepy. It's really gory, but the ending was just like, fucking hell, like, I don't know. And it's set up, I know they're making a sequel, Megan 2.0, but I really think you would enjoy it, and I'll tell you why. Because it's all about AI and what AI can do. Because obviously she's built with AI technology, which means they suddenly think, shit, she can talk to a Tesla car, she can talk to the alarm system of the building, she can do this, and she starts like realizing, oh, I want to be more than just a toy. But also she wants to protect the little girl that she's with as well. And there's a scene with a bully and you don't think she's going to go full on, but she does, and this little boy gets killed, and when they all sort of discover the body, then at the end of that day, the little girl that she's the who owns her says, "Oh, he's in a better place now," and Megan just says, "No, he isn't. He's nowhere." And she just kind of tells her as it is, like, boom, he's dead.
Fair enough.
It's really good. There's a scene in it with a pressure washer and an old lady. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, sexy times.
No, but Megan, highly recommended. So that I'll end on a high with that one. Really enjoyed that. Oh shit! There's one more.
Of course there is.
2006.
Everyone's turned off by now.
2006.
Turn them back on, Dan, with your oral pleasure.
I never seen it. Don't know why. Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Don't all come for my blood. Never seen it, but I have now.
Yeah, it's quite. It's a bit under the radar. It's not on any streaming service or anything. I've got an American DVD I found.
It's on Prime. Shop. It's on Prime.
Oh, really?
You got to rent it.
Oh, okay.
Highly worth it. I bought it because I knew I was going to love it, and it's kind of everything that I wanted from. What was that new one that came out where you're just following the killer in the woods all the way through?
Something.
There's something of violence.
Nature's violence.
In a violent nature, yeah. It was because I liked that, but I was disappointed with it. Whereas The Rise of Leslie Vernon was fucking up there, like an 8 out of 10 movie. Surprised I haven't seen it, and I cannot believe it takes place in the same world that there is Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Chucky, Michael Myers. But it works. That shouldn't work, but it does, and it's just such a great. It's not true found footage, is it? Because there's a lot of stuff that isn't found footage, but it's very close to being a found footage movie. But they do sort of have normal shots occasionally as well. But yeah, I'm on board. I'm in the cult of Leslie Vernon now. I thought it was really good, and I loved everything about it. Really well done, and I didn't see the twists coming. So absolutely love that. Now, before we go into a trailer and sort of wrap up, something sad did happen.
Oh dear, I know what you're going to say.
We lost a horror movie legend.
He's an icon.
He's a fucking big icon with a voice that could melt through.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Tony Todd. Rest in peace, Tony Todd.
Yeah.
So we have to mention Tony. On the day I found out about it, I watched one of his films. I revisited Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead, which is so good.
Sarah and I, on holiday last week, we took that and we watched that one evening. And
I think you watched it the same night as me, actually.
Might have done. Most of the evenings, we were just falling asleep, and not because we're doing so much in the daytime, we're busy, even though we're on holiday, but we're very full on doing stuff. Full on lounging as well at times, but we put it on. We stayed awake for the whole thing. It's such a good movie. I hadn't seen it for ages. If everything about that film was really, really
I'm not
strong.
Saying it's better than the first one, but I think I prefer it.
I'd say it's
way.
better than Romero's.
Just because it obviously Romero had produced it, and he had his, Savini had his blessing, and the whole point in it was to retain the rights to the name, the Night of the Living Dead, obviously because it's public domain. But it's so good. He was so well cast in that.
Tony Todd, I went up to Tom Savini, and Tom Savini, I think we're always sort of cast whatever, and he said to me, "You've got to give me a chance for that role." And Tony Todd was not really anyone at that point, and he said to him, "No, whatever." And he grabbed Tom Savini by the collars. Not aggressively, but grabbed him and looked him in the face. You've got to get, and he sort of went. He kind of played Ben, and really liked it, and he got the job from that.
Yeah, I really, 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 really like it, and the fact he comes back as a zombie is a great little.
It's such a great different change. So I think it works well alongside the original. Then in that case, because they're both doing something very clever.
I'm not taking anything away from that absolute masterpiece.
Oh, no, of course not.
But I just really got a lot of time.
Yeah,
for
but
this
you've
remake.
also got Tom Savini's Zombies.
Incredible.
Yeah, I don't know how they might look in high def. Maybe I watched the DVD. So
I watched it on Prime. I streamed it.
That would have been
HD. It was decent. Okay. What I thought we'd do as a little salute to Tony is very briefly talk about some of some of his iconic roles. There aren't a huge amount in horror, but because he's been in other things like Star Trek TV show and stuff. But I thought we'd just do that. So in kind of reverse order, everybody knows he is Bloodworth, the funeral director in the Final Destination movies. Just having him turn up for those couple of scenes, give them a little bit of exposition with that voice, just makes those films, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah.
He even played the voice of the devil in the third one, the roller coaster. Although he wasn't in it, he did the voice. So I think that's definitely an iconic role for the newer generation. When I say newer, those Destination movies are like 25 years old now. But yeah, I wanted to mention that one, of course. He also was, we've talked about Night of the Living Dead. He played Ben. It's just a great role for him. And I believe that was one of his first roles in a movie or in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Which is cool. He also played a role in another movie we covered, The Crow. He was the henchman, like the main henchman for the mob boss.
I always like it when you watch Platoon and he just turns up in that.
That's another role that I wanted to mention as well. What was his name in that? I've got it somewhere here. Give me a moment. Oh, I don't know where it's gone now.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, of course, well known and mostly known for the incredible, terrifying, striking, commanding performance of the Candyman himself. Mm-hmm. A character that made people terrified to say the words Candyman in the mirror 5 times because you thought he was actually going to appear behind you. And yeah, I just wanted to mention Tony Todd, really. He is just and was a horror icon, and it's sad to see him go.
Yeah, he would give out his phone number to people. Funny enough, Pete, you know, Stormtrooper in Sanctuary Moon, when Pete first went to LA, he bumped into Tony Todd, and Tony Todd said to him, "Oh, here's my phone number if you want to go for a drink sometime." And he rang him up and he went for a drink with him. You know, it's like a real nice person. He's really up for helping out people.
I'd love him to record a voicemail for me from my phone.
I know, it would have been good.
Funny enough, the last thing I'll say about him is there's a Shudder series, which is quite old now, but it's called 101 Scariest Moments in Horror Films, and it's about 8 hours long, so it's like 8 parts. They're all like 50 minutes each or something, and he was in that a lot because it was all interviews with lots of legends from horror talking about the 101 scariest movies, 101 scariest moments in horror. So I was watching that when I found out he'd passed away, so he was on my screen quite a lot over those few days. So I went to watch Night of the Living Dead. Perfect. Yeah. There we go. So that's Tony Todd.
Died quite young as well.
He was in his 60s.
What was his reasons for death?
Not actually sure. Did they announce it?
Oh, actually, I think he might have had cancer.
Oh, bless him.
I think it was. I might be wrong.
My favourite fact about him is when he made Candyman, when he realised they're going to be working with live bees.
Oh, yeah.
He made them write in the contract, if I get stung by a bee, I get $1,000. He was stung by about 20 bees during the course of that film, so he got about 20 grand.
Bonus.
Excellent, Tony. Good work, my friend. I'd get stung by 20 bees for 20 grand.
He looked like a sort of man that gonna say stuff and you could go, yes sir.
Yeah, in that voice as well.
You listen to me. I can't do it. I sound more like Dirty Harry.
Do you want to hear about my dream, or shall I save that for Word of the Strange?
Dirty Gavy, but that's for me and Sarah. You what you saying?
What, in my dream?
Yeah.
Dirty Gavy.
Is that a gun? It's a gun. It's not.
What is going on?
It's not Sarah and I's bedroom dialogue.
I'll just quickly finish up with a dream I had only last night. So this is a random turn of events, and weird that we're covering a film about a man that gets you in your dreams. So I had a dream that I died. I had a dream last night that me and a bunch of strangers.
Have you ever had this before?
Never.
Oh.
We all died.
I don't think I have.
And it was to do with getting hit in the stomach, or a creature
bit
me in the stomach.
How did you know that you, in your dream, you were there and then you died, and you were still conscious of your death?
Let me explain.
Okay.
So, in my dream, I was in like a building, like an office, with a bunch of strangers. It was kind of, maybe I was at work, I don't know, but we all got killed. My death involved my stomach being torn out, and it hurt for a split second, and then it was gone. And then I was back in the same office block with all those people, and we were all looking around, and I felt in the dream, and when I woke up, I felt this like strange sense of ecstasy and happiness and relief, and we all looked at each other in this room and we all sort of suddenly realized we're dead. We are dead, aren't we? Yes, we're dead. Oh my God, we're dead. But none of us were panicking, none of us were worried about it. And then we heard a noise in the sky, a bit like those sky trumpets that they say you can hear.
Did you just get naked as soon as you found out you were dead in your dreams? Everyone agreed. Did you? Fuck it, I'm taking all my clothes off.
No.
Why are you taking clothes off? I'm dead. Doesn't really matter.
Because this voice suddenly started coming out of the sky.
Don't take your clothes off.
And we knew, it wasn't necessarily God, but we knew it was the higher power in this dream. And he started talking to us all in this incredible voice that we could all hear only in our sort of inside our bodies and our own heads. And he was saying, you know, I'm going to take the form of a man so that none of you will be afraid.
Don't freak out. Okay.
And so this mist kind of came down and formed like a 12-foot tall man. So it's still a tall guy, but it was like a man. And we all just we were all shouting, "I love you!" And in my dream, I was going, "I love you so much. I love you all."
This sounds so much. Fucking deep.
Yeah, it is.
Did you have an awakening?
Well, let me continue. So we were sort of telling him how much we loved him, and then he was like, it was almost like he was making a speech at a wedding, because everything he was saying, we were laughing, we were praising this thing. Yeah, we were so happy.
That's finding religion almost, isn't it? It's how you would treat a god.
I told Alice I felt like I'd taken, in my dream, it was like I'd taken an ecstasy. And I have taken ecstasy, so I know what it's like, and I don't condone taking drugs, anyone out there. But so it was like that times 50. But then I made a joke to him, and I swore. I said like bullshit or something like that, and everyone laughed. And he said, "Come on, we don't have that kind of, not language, but we don't have that kind of negativity." And I was like, "I'm sorry, I love you. Please forgive me. I love you so much." He was like, "Oh, I love you all. Don't worry, Dan. Don't worry, everyone." And then I said to him, "What happens now then?" And he laughed, and I said, "Do we ever get to go back?" And he said, "No, this is it." He said, "What you had before was nothing. That was just a taster. Like that wasn't real. This is real. This is the real bit now." And everybody ever, before, after, they're all here. So I straight away said, "Well, how do I speak to like my mum or my grandma?" And he was like, "You can find them."
This is insane.
He said, "You've been here forever. You've come home. So you'll be able to find them." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is incredible." But me and these people in this room who I'd never met, these strangers, I just loved them all, and they loved me, and we loved this big creature that was a god or whatever he was. And then my mission was to try and like find my mum or whatever and talk to all these other people. But I knew they were all there, and I knew everyone ever was with me. You were there. Do you know what I mean? Like, although you weren't in the dream, but everyone who was dead or alive was there. And then the feeling was just so incredible. And then I woke up in my kids' room, because I'd slept in their room with them.
That's insane,
and I just
dude.
had this wave of ecstasy flowing through my body for about 10 minutes. Like, what is this? Like,
wow.
I told Alice this morning, and she was like, "What? Did you take drugs last night?" I was like, "I feel like I did." Like, I said, "But all I can describe to you is this being was emanating love, and I was just got this love come flowing through me." I just wanted to mention it on the show because it's mental.
Sounds like, you know, what happens when we die, maybe.
Well, it felt, she said, like maybe you died for a split second in your sleep or something.
That's weird.
Because a split second when you're dead or when you're asleep can be 100 years, can't it? Yeah. But honestly,
sounds crazy, dude.
If I'd have gone into a coma and told you that story and come out after 3 days and told you that story, you'd be like, "Fucking hell, that's great." But the fact that all I did was sleep on my kid's bedroom floor and have that dream.
Yeah, that's fine, though.
But I can still remember the voice. I can feel the voice now. I can still remember it now.
That always feels like what I imagine it is like when people find religion and they all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they find a certain religion. I guess generally wherever they're born is their religion, but they find a god and they open themselves up to that love and their love amongst the church people and stuff. I imagine that's what that is.
He said he didn't ever say he was God. He just said, "I'm going to take form of something more familiar to you all so that you won't be scared of me, because I'm bigger than all of this, and so are you now." He said, "Well, we're all part of this thing." And I wish I knew more, I could remember more, but
what if it'd been like,
I went to another astral plane. in
Well,
my
if
dream.
you've been like, I'm going to do a form which you won't feel scared of, and it's like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But then again, he destroyed New York, didn't he? So that might be a bit scary. What if it's like a big Bill Murray or Dan Aykroyd or something? Like, oh, all right. I feel comforted.
Or a big penis just waddling along.
I was going to say a dildo, actually, but I thought that wouldn't be comforting.
I mean...
No.
But that was my dream about some kind of a god.
I think that sounds incredible and crazy and amazing, and I'm almost a bit jealous. I want to have it.
Well, go and sleep on the floor in between my twins, and you never know what can happen in there.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, and on that note, let's talk about fucking Halloween 5. Halloween 5, I'm calling it.
Here's a trailer.
Halloween 5, smell my breath, Jamie!
Sheriff? They want you down at the cemetery.
Today in the cemetery, somebody dug up a coffin. It was a coffin of a 9-year-old girl. You've come back to us, Michael.
When are they going to realize that she is not him? She's just a child.
They know that Michael Myers is her uncle, and that she attacked her stepmother. That's why they fear her, especially on Halloween. You're afraid. You're afraid the whole thing might start to happen again. How many people did he kill last year? Have you forgotten? But you never looked into his face, did you? You never saw his eyes. You never saw that nothing, no expression, blank. My memory goes back 12 years. I prayed that he would burn in hell, but in my heart, I knew that hell would not have him. Michael Myers is outside.
The National Guard will take him to a maximum security facility, where he'll stay till the day he dies.
Never die.
Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers from 1989, rated 18, an hour and 36 minutes. 1 year after the events of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers 1988, the Shape returns to Haddonfield once again in an attempt to kill his now mute niece. 4.9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mess.
Oh, it's a terrible mess. Like part 4, I can still. You got to think it's been a rocky franchise, really, because the producers obviously want to make as much as most producers want to make as much money as possible. Obviously, it's a business, and then didn't realise really that Michael Myers was the selling point, really, the USP, the unique selling point of the film, really. So Halloween 3 is a bit of a flop, as we all know, and we've discussed it before. We even talked about it when we did it. Then so they had to come back with Halloween 4 with Michael Myers, and it's not as bad film. It's kind of okay. It's not great at all.
Rewatching it last year,
I don't think I recommend it, but
it was better than I remember.
It's okay. It's actually got some alright stuff in it. This, woo. Daniel Harris is a really good actress in this. Very good actor.
She's incredible. Good. Really good child actress in this. Really good.
Yeah.
Really conveys when she's mute for the first half of the movie.
Yeah, really good.
Conveys that well. Her fear, with no speech. You really feel sorry for her. Donald Pleasance is fucking unhinged in this.
It's almost... He's very forced and over the top. It's almost like... I don't know, because if he's come back...
He was drunk a lot.
You got to think, he only did the original because his daughter or granddaughter or something said, "Oh, John Carpenter, they liked maybe Assault on Precinct 13 or something," and said you should do this film because it wasn't really that whatever. But then comes on to be obviously Halloween 2, not Halloween 3, but then comes back for Halloween 4. So they would have had to go up to him and say, "Would you come back?" And he'd be like, "I like being Dr. Loomis." Okay, and he's like, comes back and does his thing. What was his like last time in the part 4?
He was.
It wasn't as forced performance, was it?
It was him trying to convince all the police, this is real, this is happening. He kind of took charge a bit, whereas in this one he's still trying to convince the police, but he just goes on like a one-man Rambo rampage, and the police are just trying to keep up with him really in this one, and he's pretty much beats up a little girl who's mute to try and force her to tell him information. And
it's just really, really over the top in this, and it's just a really weird choice, and I do feel, what else was he doing?
The other problem with this film is it starts to introduce some of the supernatural elements, because you've got this weird link between Jamie, Danielle Harris, and Michael, but they never fully explain why there's a telepathic link between them. And then they introduce this guy who's part of this cult that is hunting down Michael, but that plot thread is never really fully investigated or explained. It just kind of pops up 2 or 3 times and that's it. And obviously when we cover the 6th one next year, there's a lot more of it in that one. But
the whole storyline's weird, and with Halloween franchise, it's 3 different storylines, isn't there? You can, I think my favourite's original Halloween 1, original Halloween 2, and then going to Halloween H2O. That's my happy trilogy.
Yeah, and then you've got the Rob Zombie one, so it's a strange franchise.
Donald Pleasance in 95 when he did Halloween Curse and Michael Myers, at the same time as that he did a movie called Safe Haven, and then after that in 96 he did a movie called Fatal Frames, and then that was it. He never did anything else, so he was kind of Donald Pleasance, incredible actor. Great Escape, so lots of amazing things. He loved acting. He was just someone who did it because he loved doing it. So you got to think, as you get on, if you carry on doing it, it's brilliant. But obviously he's doing whatever, so it's strange, his performance. Yeah, it could be drinking.
It was drink, sadly. Yeah. But he was also very kind, especially to Danielle Harris. Apparently, he had a huge trailer, and everybody else.
Wonder what you could say then.
Apparently, he had a huge penis. Yes, it's the biggest one in Haddonfield. And apparently, when he wrapped his final day of shooting, they obviously still had a lot of the movie to shoot. He insisted that they gave his trailer to Danielle Harris, and it was like a double trailer that compared to everyone else. So she got like this huge trailer, and he
brilliant.
Said, "You're a great actress."
Brilliant. She went in there and she's like just falling over empty bottles of booze. Don't mind the mess, Danielle.
Like the car on the Trailer Park Boys, every time they open the door and all the bottles just fall out.
Yeah.
But yeah, she speaks highly of him. And actually the cast,
I can imagine he was great.
There's a really fun behind the scenes documentary which you can watch on YouTube, and it's part of that huge documentary they did. But if you watch the part 5 documentary section, which is about 30 minutes long maybe, the cast all look initially like, this is awful, what were we doing? But they now all sort of say, we're kind of glad we did it because it's one of the weirdest films in this franchise. It's one of the weirdest horror films in any franchise because it kind of goes off on some weird tangents. But the fans of the franchise, big fans, they do kind of like it for its weirdness.
Yeah, as a kid, I was like Halloween all the way. Never really been a fan of the Freddy series. But as I've got older, it's been like, nah, Friday the 13th is the one.
Yeah, and I've still got, I watched this on VHS. I've got them all on VHS.
I used to really like these movies. And I used to pride myself. I got off eBay that producer's cut of Halloween 6.
Wow.
The VHS pirated bootleg tape I got off eBay because I was like, right, I want that in the collection because I pride myself on my Halloween collection. And for a time, it was really hard to get hold of these films. They were going for a lot of money. This was like a while ago. It's probably like
20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah. Because I remember getting the whole series when a video shop went down near me. And I got all the Halloween videotapes. Then I got rid of them. And then I did finally get all the DVDs eventually. And at one point, I did actually pick up a whole box set, Freddy cheap in Oxfam, which is surprising because Oxfam was a ridiculous rip-off. But yeah, it was really hard to get a whole set of these films for cheap, which is funny because it's because the fans wanted to do them and they were out of supply,
I mean, the plus points here are obviously Daniel Harris his performance is great, and I've got to say all the kids in this are quite fun and they're good characters and there's a good chemistry between them all and everyone's having a good time and it seems to be enjoying themselves making this film. The downsides are trying to keep up with the plot and the weird elements of supernatural they keep introducing into it and that fucking mask, the Michael Myers mask, is it's absolutely appalling.
It's producer meddling. Because, like, why do you need to... Something which was great in 77 or 78, weren't you? 78. Was great then. Why do you need to, like, bother changing it? It works.
Why update it? It looked cheap.
It's that sort of thing where, like, they're like, great, the first movie did so well. Let's always replicate the first movie. So they're always trying to fucking replicate the first movie. Yet they don't do things different.
Also,
why are you doing it different then?
It also contains a scene which I absolutely love, probably one of my favourite scenes in it, where Michael dons a different mask when he's in the car and he's got on that thug mask, like a big clown thug.
And he grips the steering wheel. He's like, I'm going to do you, baby.
Yeah, really good scene that is, and I like that moment as well. And I know that they revisit the whole telepathic link because in the Halloween Kills, the last Halloween movie that came out, they have that telepathic link again brought back. So it's weird because Jason's a zombie. Yeah, there's some supernatural elements, but he just comes back and we just take that. Freddy is a demon, so we get how he can do what he does. But Michael was just a guy who escaped from an asylum, and then in the fifth movie they just start throwing in these supernatural telepathic links.
They're looking. Well, it gets that sort of thing where they, I guess, a couple of factors. They're probably looking at the franchises adjacent to them, which is Jason, Freddy, and saying, oh, they've got these things. Because the concept of Nightmare on Elm Street is brilliant. They're coming in dreams.
Yeah, you can do
it's a great concept.
Anything they want. Any effects can go, anything goes.
It works really well in that sense. And Jason, for some reason, we've never really bothered quizzing it too much. We've just been like, yeah, we just like to see this bulking man come along and just hack people up in the woods.
He gets brought back to life by lightning in one of them.
Yeah, we're just like,
that. But we're just fine. Like, whatever.
Yeah, but this one, it's kind of, I think it's hard because the original Halloween is a masterpiece of a film by John Carpenter.
And the original Halloweens.
That's why it was a strange one.
Well, the first two are just grounded as well. They're very grounded in reality because it is just a guy who has nothing in him. He is evil.
Shape.
Yeah, and he is in an asylum and he gets out and his focus is, I'm going to kill
John
my family.
Wouldn't have had, I probably didn't have backstory so much, I imagine. It'd be like, yeah, whatever.
But,
so that's why it's so hard for this franchise, because the first one's a masterpiece where Nightmare on Elm Street isn't a masterpiece. Friday the 13th first ones aren't masterpieces. Some may argue with Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm not really a big fan after watching the cinema actually a couple of years ago. The original, I actually thought it's not that good. But Michael Myers and John Carpenter, that's fucking a very good film. You can still watch that and go, this is a really good film.
As we both did.
Yeah. So, like, it struggles because they're trying to jump on that the whole time, going, could be like this, but at the same time, they're like, but we've got to update it. We've got to do it for what's happening now and what's cool. And, is that cool? Let's do that as well. So, all these different influences come in. And then we watch this movie in 2024, and it's just like...
I guess the other thing it's got going for it is...
I was angry when I watched this. I messaged you.
At least, the other thing it's got going for it is at least it follows on directly from the last one. So it continues the story, but it just goes off on some weird tangents. But I like the party with the kids.
This is the problem with the fact that John Carpenter wouldn't have been like, right, I've written this movie, but I've also written the fucking stories for years to come.
Yeah.
So then it's like I said, that problem with the third one being a different movie than the fourth one. We've got to put them back. So right, the fifth one's got to continue after 4 because that's what they want to see. But they're starting to just make stories up without John Carpenter there. He would just be getting paycheck for the characters that he'd come up with. Jason, Michael, So it's such a okay, let's do this now. And then bringing in different writing teams, being overseen by the producers, Akkad and all that stuff, and just thinking money more than actual... film. Okay, throw another killing. Have we got some woman's boobs? Great, brilliant, or whatever.
And at least they got K&B effects in this.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it was working against them because of all the things you've just said. Yeah. Too many cooks spoil the broth. But on top of that, I think Donald Pleasance was really struggling with his boozing. And so... Although
what they're going to say, they're not going to say anything to him because he's like a key to the films.
Exactly, yeah. And even Danielle Harris is, she's bringing back a character. So's Ben Meeker, So there's a few characters that are back, which is great.
Yeah. And you got signature. You got signature music for Halloween as well.
It's just a bit of a struggle to get through, really. But like I said, when I was younger, I liked this one because I always really
thought I liked it when I was younger.
My favourite scene is in the middle where the kids are all at that party at a farm, and some of them are getting busy in the hay, and some of them are in the party, and that kind of stuff. But Gav, let's talk about the 2 cops as well. I don't think we'll go through the plot too much on this one. Let's just talk about some of our favourite or least favourite bits. There's a couple of cops in this, dear listeners, who you may not remember if you've seen this, and if you haven't seen it,
it's a weird choice.
They've got these 2 bungling cops, and every time they show up, you get these noise sound effects from a cartoon.
And again, it's a director definitely not said, okay, at this point here, I'm going to have some comical music playing on. A producer's come in and been like, put some comical music here. These guys seem wacky.
It's like a spring sound effect.
It makes the film not be that serious film they've always tried to be all the time. And it pulls you out of the film for a minute.
And the guys who played the cops, they said at the premiere, they both looked at each other like, what the fuck are all these sound effects on every time we're on screen?
Because they're not even that goofy.
No, they're just they're funny.
They're bumbling, but they're not. They're not.
They could have just let.
It's
them
not Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, no, exactly. They were funny enough, subtly in their performances, but the fact they also apparently told them to walk like penguins, which is why they're always swaying from side to side.
So that means they actually in the script. Then it was scripted that had this music cue.
Apparently Akkad just no, I don't think that music was. Akkad wanted that in after, and he's the one that on set said, I think it would be funny if you walked like penguins, and they were like, what?
Why? But then again,
because he's a producer, Gav. Cocaine.
It's just you get a bit in this. There's a bit where Michael Myers he doesn't die. He somehow manages in some water. Is it in the water? He comes along. Yeah, he sort of essentially goes swimming, gets away, and a man sort of finds him at a dockhouse, or he finds a man at a dockhouse. Do you think this is a play on Bride of Frankenstein with the blind guy?
Apparently it was. Yeah, apparently they had a.
That's quite nice.
They had a lot more written for that.
That's actually
another 15 minutes. Of stuff.
You got to think though, if the director or whoever's written it as well, writing credits. Yeah, okay. The director did have some writing credits. You got to think that that's pretty good, and that's a fan of horror to be doing that in.
They wouldn't let him shoot all the stuff for that he wanted to.
That's kind of a shame, because that would have given us a little bit more class almost.
So, I guess we will briefly run through this. It starts with, very cheaply, the first 5 minutes of this film is the best of Halloween 4. They show you a recap. So they've saved a bit of money, and they're showing you everything that happened, which ends with him being blown up in a well.
It's good because I can't remember what happened.
And then Jamie is now mute in a home.
Yeah.
She can't speak. She has all these nightmares, and actually a lot of what she has are telepathic visions of what Michael's up to. So there's parts of this that are repeated in Halloween Kills. Halloween Ends. Sorry, the final Halloween movie.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously he's linked telepathically to that random kid that with a motorbike. Like, for some reason, we never know. Still don't understand. I'd love someone to explain it. But yeah, and
yeah, we won't get really detailed into this film.
Yeah, but so she's great. She has these telepathic links where every time Michael kills someone, she sort of feels it.
So where was she before this then? In the previous Halloween films?
She was living with her family, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Because her family gets killed in this one. The rest of her remaining family gets killed in this one.
Yeah.
And Loomis pops up, as he does. I told you, he's back. You know?
Yeah.
But he is like... He hunts down Jamie and he grabs her several scenes.
And it's just
grabs this little girl
literally
and shakes her
face right up to her face, and you know that he's stunk of booze.
He's pulling a gun on the nurse. He's saying, like, I need to get the information. I don't know how he knows that she's telepathically linked, but he does.
He knows everything.
And he shakes her and says, like, where is he? You know, and they're like, oh.
But
Jamie obviously can't talk.
No, and Michael basically finds this guy in his place, and this guy kind of takes him, but he goes to kill this guy, but he's out of strength, so he can't do it.
He's got a
so
parrot,
this guy thinks, I'll tell you what, I know you tried to kill me, but you're out of strength. I'll bring you back to strength. Hopefully, you won't kill me. I wouldn't help someone that tried to kill me. I'd be like, fuck off, I'd ring up the police. Get down there to this. Look at this cunt. Look at him. Does he look like a teacher for a kindergarten? No. He looks like a mass murderer.
Michael kills another dog in this one. He loves killing dogs. And it's basically Michael hunting down all of Jamie's older sister, I think. Well, it's her older stepsister. Hunting down her and all of her friends and killing them off. And every time he kills one of them, Jamie feels it or sees it in a vision until it gets to the point where there's a fake out. So they're at a party and some kids got hold of a Michael Myers mask again. Like, you'd think they'd learn by now, Gav. What happened to that last kid with the Michael Myers mask? He got hit by a police car and exploded on fire, and Loomis shot him.
Loomis now has a scar, doesn't he? A bit like Freddy Krueger, sort of. It's a burn.
Yeah, because he got set on fire in the fourth one. So he's sort of saying things like, I got these scars for a reason. I'm not going to let him get away with it.
At this point, if you're his mate down the pub, what have you been up to today, Loomis? Hunting Michael, as always. You know I have.
That's all he's got.
A bit like, can't you just put your feet up and let's go have a game of pool? We get some beers in us. We get drunk, then we go get a kebab, and come back to mine and we watch Naked Gun. Come on, let's go do that.
Imagine
no,
Naked Gun.
No, I'm not doing that. And just calm down with your aggressiveness in your old age. Mellow, man. Give him some weed.
I love Leslie Nielsen.
I love Leslie. He took most of my roles. Leslie was going to be Loomis.
So we get this scene at a party.
I'd love to have done a spin-off of Halloween, but with
Leslie Nielsen
as Loomis.
Yeah, because he plays straight so well. That's obviously the beauty of it.
Because they have done the horror sort of stuff. Yeah, Dracula Dead and Loving It, is it?
Dracula Dead and Loving It and Repossessed.
Yeah. So kind of, yeah.
But this party they're all at, and the kids are bonking in the hay, and then Michael kills them all. I always really liked that scene. I thought that is the most Halloween part of this.
We are a fan of growing up in the sort of mid to late 90s where that was a staple of a horror movie, was a frat party type thing or something.
Yeah.
And so we feel at home with that.
Yeah, and there's another part of this which initially I was annoyed that there was a character called Michael, but very cleverly, because there's one of the boys in the gang is called Michael, but it's very clever because when he goes to pick his girlfriend up, but he's killed by Michael Myers. Michael Myers then puts on a Halloween mask which looks like a sort of big sort of caveman / clown. That's the only way I can describe it. So when the girlfriend gets in, she thinks it's her boyfriend. So she even says, "Hey, Michael, I'm here." She doesn't realise that's not her Michael, that's Michael Myers. So I actually really liked the cleverly written part of that scene.
Yeah.
And the guy that played Michael Myers said that he was told by Akkad, act. And he's like, but how? I've got a mask on. So he said, I'll act with my hands. So that was his idea, to show the clenching of the hands on the steering wheel and stuff,
It works really well.
It does work well. So it's a shame because there's some good bits in there.
I've got another bit. There's a really good bit where, I don't know who it is, I've got looks outside. I don't know why it says looks outside, but there's a bit where someone's walking along. I don't know if it's Jamie or the older one. Anyway, the camera pans alongside them.
And Michael's walking along.
And she doesn't look back, but she kind of reaches out, and there's like a real nice bit of tension. And it's crafted really, really well. Out of nowhere, all of a sudden, it's a very well crafted shot. The tension works really well with it. It's really nicely done. It's just a shame. And I could actually imagine if the director was probably let to have his leash loosened, he might have been actually, or his reins, he might have been actually able to craft something a bit more of tension. But it feels like a producer's fingerprints all over this.
The bit with the guy, the man in black, the cowboy or whatever, apparently the director was inspired by Johnny Cash. There's a man in black.
Yeah,
comes to town, and
which is, it's okay, but again, you're just making stuff up.
But the guy that played Michael Myers also played, for some shots, played this other man, and he said, when we were filming it, they did not tell me why I was dressing as a cowboy and getting off of a bus or showing up here and there. They just made me do it, and I did it for the money.
That's terrible, because as an actor, you need some intentions. Like, why am I doing this? What's my character? Like, so I can actually embody that person that I'm trying to be.
But it's so confusing to the audience because there was no internet back then. People didn't remember films as much. So
it's just a bit of a nightmare. So what was that movie like? Tell me about it.
Because this guy keeps popping up, this cowboy in black with the same tattoo that Michael's got. Now Michael's suddenly got a tattoo on his hand, which I don't know if he ever had in the other movies.
Where did he get that from?
Well, exactly. But apparently from
prison
this cult.
tattoos, compass and ink.
Apparently from this cult, you know what I mean? And the end scene, and I'll jump to that now before we carry on talking. The end scene feels like, and I've got a genuine story about this. When I was watching it, probably the first time I ever saw this on VHS, when the movie ends and Michael's in prison, he's in this police jail, all of a sudden, I thought another film had been spliced onto mine, because suddenly this man shows up in a cowboy hat and long trench coat with guns, and he does a Terminator on the police station. He takes out all the police. Did you
just think, hang on?
I thought, what is going on? Because the wall explodes, and he's taking out all these cops, and it's like, what? I had to rewind it, and I'd forgotten about that moment of my life until I watched it again now, and it's like, oh yeah, that does happen in this film. Like it's almost like a different film has been spliced in, and it ends with Michael being broken out of prison by this man in black who is, we'll get into this next year when we cover the sixth one, but it's to do with Michael's part of a cult. He's like, he carries evil in him. He's a human embodiment of evil, and that's why he's got the tattoo on him, and that's why this cult member is following him around and trying to get him out of jail and stuff like that. It's all very weird and loose, and it's not properly written, which is why I can't really give you a proper explanation of it, because it was never really fully fleshed out and written properly. It was just an idea that happened to leak into this film, this actual finished film from 1989.
They're just trying to get something out, aren't they? And it's just, it's greed.
Another part of this I like is the laundry chute and all that moment, where Jamie gets stuck in the laundry chute.
Again, at that point then, it's not a bad bit of tension. This is why the director should have been allowed to do what he wanted to do, I feel.
And because it feels, because when he really goes for it, it really feels very Halloween. And I wanted more of that. I wanted more of Michael, stalking people.
Like the original, which why it's popular. I've got one note that says, "Blimey, how much longer is there?"
Yeah, I guess. It's just, it's very strange. I don't really know what more I can say about it, really. I'll just quickly scan my notes while we're chatting just to see if there's anything else.
I'm glad you didn't come back and be like, this movie's fucking amazing. I'll be like, oh no.
It's my least favourite in the Halloween franchise.
I think my part 6 would, but I don't know. We'll see, but this is this I plan on never watching again while I'm on this planet. Maybe when I go to where you went to in your dreams last night, I'll be watching Halloween. We could watch Halloween 5 together and laughing about it.
Although Loomis is really weird as a character in this, I do like it when he goes full on Rambo in the final part, where
it is a bit full on that last part.
He basically, he sends
loads
the
of cops
away.
get killed like the Terminator.
He sends all the cops away from the house that Jamie's being protected in.
Yeah.
And then the other cop's like,
it's okay, I'll look after her.
He pulls his gun on the cop and says, no. He's pulled his gun on a cop. Locked them in the house. At
this point, I reckon, as a character, Dr. Loomis himself has a bottle of whiskey in his jacket.
Yeah, he's like Columbo's weird drunk.
Oh God! It's what happens when Columbo goes to sleep at night. It's like his substance, isn't it?
Because I do like that scene, and I did like the fight that Loomis has with Michael. But again, when did he set up? When did Loomis, who's an old man, an old drunk cop, with a burnt face and a limp because he got caught on fire in the last film? When did he get the chance to set up this booby trap of a metal net, like a steel net that you use for fishing sharks, in the landing of this house, so that as Michael walked up the steps, he dropped the net on him? And then he gets a piece of wood and goes to town on Michael. And apparently, because he was a bit drunk, the guy who played Michael said it was a rubber. There was rubber over the end of a real piece of wood.
But it still hurt.
No, Donald Pleasance went a bit crazy with it and forgot which part of the wood to hit the guy that plays Michael with. So he turned it on its edge where it was actual wood and broke his nose. And split the mask, and that's why there's a few snippets in the final reel where the mask has been repaired there's got some tape over it.
Oh my God!
Because Donald Pleasance just got this plank of wood and went to town. And Daniel Harris said she was just like sitting on the floor while they were filming, like thinking, it looks like he's hitting him. He's such a good actor. It looks like he's hitting him for real. And then obviously the guy that played Michael was like, my nose is broken. Can we just take a moment? And they were like, oh, do you need to stop? He's like, no, I've broken my nose like dozens of times. I used to be a stuntman. It's fine. But I can't breathe at the moment with the mask on. My nose is full of blood. The mask is split, so we might want to take an hour here to sort of reset. And
okay, Donald. Okay, Donald, wrap. It's a wrap. Okay, do you want to just go back to? No. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Honestly, just go. That's it. Hand the bat over to the assistant. That's it. Back to your trailer. Okay.
And there are some great effects in this. There's some odd choices to kill some people off screen, like the two bungling cops. They're just dead. You don't ever get to see them get killed. But there's some great effects from KMB, in this. Because the Halloween movies aren't really known for their effects. Like, there's some great kills and stuff.
No. Contrary to the Nightmare on Elm Street series, which I think is just a showcase for effects.
Yeah, totally complete polar opposite. And I also, as a kid, really liked, and still do like, the scene where Jamie gets in the coffin to try and trick Michael. And Michael, she says, you're my Uncle Michael, take off the mask so I can see you. So she does, and apparently he really cried. Apparently the actor had really managed to get some tears out for that scene, although you don't really see the tears shot very well. Mm-hmm. And she says, we're the same. We're the same. Look at our faces. We're family. She tries to trick him, but then he's
that's like that email I sent to Danielle Harris when I was drunk.
It is.
Exactly
Danielle, we're the same. We're like brother and sister.
Yeah.
I could be your uncle, Jamie.
Oh,
so
she's probably got me on her stalking list,
Loomis tranquilizes him, and they manage. And while he's hitting him with the wood, do you remember what Loomis says? You can tell Donald Pleasence was drunk. He's just screaming, "Die, die, die, die," about 100 times in a row.
Amazing.
And again, something that we've never seen before. Michael is arrested and he's taken by the police and put in that jail cell. It's great. But then the Terminator shows up.
It just takes out all the cops, and it's just a massacre. Jamie's told to stay in the car, doesn't, obviously, walks in, not too fazed by it. A fuckload of dead cops lying all over the place, just carries on walking towards whatever it is that's killed them. She just keeps walking towards it. Why? Stay in the car or go the other way. Why do you keep walking towards the dead body pile?
And it ends with Loomis sort of turning up at the station.
I'm going to be walking away from the dead body pile.
Loomis takes Jamie to the station, and when he gets there and he just sees all the dead bodies, and they're like, Michael's not here, someone broke him out, and he just almost drops to his knees and just goes, no! And that's kind of just like the end, really. And I don't really want to go over much more of it, really.
At least we don't have a Michael Myers rapping at the end over the credits.
I mean, or Loomis. Loomis would have been all right.
I'm Dr. Loomis. Yeah. It's because this doesn't take itself seriously, where the next movie does have a hip-hop song at the end rapping about bloody Freddy Krueger. Not actually Freddy Krueger, but it could have been, because in that movie, Freddy Krueger even skateboards. At no point in this, Michael Myers is skateboarding. It's the total difference between really serious, up their own arse almost, or they think they are, because the first one that has pedigree, the original's John Carpenter, compared to Nightmare on Elm Street, like, let's just do whatever because we know what people are here for, like Friday the 13th series.
Yeah,
let's not change it. They like that. Let's do that.
They thought about it too much with Halloween 5. They thought about it too much. They had too many ideas. They should have streamlined it a bit. And the bits that are good in it are really good. We've talked about the tension, the laundry shoot.
Sorry to interrupt, but you've only got Bastard Child, the Odd Bastard Child film with the Friday the 13th series, and that's the one where there's no Jason in one of the ones.
Which a lot of people say is their favourite.
And that's the only one which doesn't continue the formula, even though it still does the formula, just he's not actually in it. So, and the original, but that's fine. But they keep the exact same thing every time.
Yeah.
Apart from space.
He comes back from the dead, kills a load of teenagers.
Obviously, he does go to Manhattan. He's on a boat for most of it. Then goes to a supposed Manhattan.
Yeah.
Apart from that, it's the same. But this is Halloween. It takes itself too serious. And Freddy comes out in dreams, and it's always the Freddy, as we've been seeing, is the same fucking thing every time. Don't go to sleep. Watch me. I'm going to go in and get Freddy, but you won't go to sleep. I won't go to sleep. Okay, I'm going to sleep now. Fights Freddy. The other one, where am I? Oh, there's Freddy, and now I'll die. It's just, again, we did this in the original with Johnny Depp. Come on.
But the effects pull you back in every time because you want to see what they've done.
They're there to watch it. You're going to cinema to see Freddy Krueger because he's fun with clawed fingers and, hey, guys, and does funny fucking jokes like he's Arnold Schwarzenegger with his one-liners. Stick around. And...
it's a boy.
It's a boy.
But Halloween. Let's finish up Halloween 5.
Yeah. Okay.
89.
That's the difference between these films. This one tries to be too serious. That's what we're getting at.
I think the flaws are they try to introduce this supernatural element, which they stick at in the next one, and then they drop it again when it gets to H20 and Resurrection. It's weird. It goes all over the place, the franchise, and it is flawed. And it's a shame because that mask is iconic. The first movie and even the second movie, in my opinion, are both absolute masterpieces.
Yeah.
But it's just it's got more wrong with it than it's got right with it. And for that, I cannot recommend Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers. I give it 3 out of 10 on IMDb, which is very low for me.
I reckon you could spend 90 minutes tickling your bottom with a long feather and you'd have a lot more entertainment than this.
That sounds great. I give this 3 out of 10 mainly because it's at least continues bringing the characters along, and there's about, out of the hour and 36 minutes runtime, there's about 25-30 minutes of this I really enjoyed, but there's an hour of this that is just absolutely confusing nonsense, and quite boring and samey at times as well. I like the characters, and that's it. That's what frustrates me. I like all the characters. Parts of this are really well written. Some of the tense scenes are well written, but it's just all like, it's like they've made it the wrong way around, and they've edited it badly together, and they've put scenes in the wrong place.
I wouldn't be surprised if when they'd done a cut of it, they'd been like, okay, let's just add in this bit of storyline and possibly done some reshoots here and there. It wouldn't surprise me. It's just, it's meddling, producer meddling, and it's trying to continue a story which has had issues as a franchise, and you don't have the fucking captain of the ship with you, which happens to be John Carpenter. So it's just got a problem, and it is, yes, the same producers, and you do have Donald Pleasance, and you do have Daniel Harris, and you do have the same that's Friday 13th. You have you've got a lot of the same stuff, and it is Michael, and there's a lot of things going on, and there is a story, but they're just trying to be too serious, and which is so contrary to them adding funny sound effects for a fucking couple of policemen in it, which is not serious. So it just seems like it's the ship is now being piloted by,
well, they're milking it, aren't they? They're milking the franchise at this point.
Money in the eyes. That's, it's just not correct.
Whereas the 5th Jason is loved by a lot of people, and the 5th Freddy. We'll talk about that in a moment. But the 5th Freddy is still loved by a lot of people out there. So some of these franchises can keep going, but by now, we've had 4 movies, 3 of them with Michael in them, and the 4th one wasn't loved. You
could. Like, the next Friday 13th is going to be the 13th one, which seems crazy. You can see it right now. F13. Just call it that.
I keep saying this.
F13. And you just go out there, and do...
It's what it's called. Sorry to interrupt you. I would call it this. The 13th Friday.
The 13th Friday, yeah. Or F13, the 13th Friday. Yeah. That's like a tagline. But what you do... It
sells itself.
What you do is you just do the movie which we all know. And we'll be like, yeah, it's cool, it's all right. It's hard because it's been such a long time. So it'd be up there, people going, oh, like it's going to be, and they're going to try and hype themselves up. But you got to think, if they just did the same formula,
you need a big guy to play Jason, someone imposing. I'm trying to think of somebody who's like not an A-lister who would do it. Like probably a wrestler or somebody that could play him really well. But yeah, you need like a 6'5" guy built like a brick shit house.
But they just have to make the same movie everyone knows, and it'll be fine. You'll be like, it's fine.
And what they would do is, because it would be like a celebration, because it'd be the 13th one, you throw in loads of nods. Someone might mention Tommy Jarvis.
You could make it very meta, like Scream is. You could be clever with it and try and make it a little bit like that.
Like you could have Corey Feldman in it briefly, just as Corey Feldman even, and that would be funny. It could be anything, but and that's how bad this film is. We're now talking about a fantasy Friday the 13th movie.
One of the films that I've not really seen is A New Nightmare, which is a meta Nightmare on Elm Street, isn't it?
One of my favourites. When you watch
I've not really seen it.
It's the pre-Scream.
It's
basically Scream.
It's where they get into. And it's funny because we're just saying that they could do that with Friday the 13th, even like a new one. But they could do it, and they could do it well. It wouldn't even be that hard to fucking do. I think it's probably all tied up in fucking who owns Paramount owns something, then someone else owns something else, I'm sure.
But I think it's a thumbs down from me and a thumbs down from Gav.
Yeah.
For Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
It can sit in the toilet. This film.
Yeah, and I'll keep my VHS copy, and I'm not saying I'll never watch it again, because I do like to some years I do like to sit through them all.
Yeah, you like to torture yourself at times.
Yeah, but and then next year we're going to be doing Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers with Paul Rudd, so that'll be interesting.
It's not good. And that's another one of those stories just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that really goes down the whole cult, satanic.
It's making shit up again.
Yeah, and they throw in more children and relatives of Michael.
More shit up.
I think that's the problem, is Michael's killed all of his relatives by now.
What threat is Jamie to him?
Exactly, like,
what can she actually do?
Now he's like, who's my second
It's
cousin,
literally
third
like
friends?
he's autistic, and that is the only thing he's got tunnel vision on that, even though there's no threat actually. Okay, hang on, Michael. She's not going to do anything. She literally doesn't want to be in 10 feet of you. She has no interest in you in the slightest.
She's mute. She can't even speak.
She doesn't care. Why do you have to kill her? She can't do anything.
I'd understand it if she was a full-grown Linda Hamilton.
Michael
Sarah
Myers
Connor,
could be in Bermuda shorts, sitting in Bermuda on the beach, sipping on pina coladas, legs up, happy anything. Still have the mask on. Have suntan everywhere, but underneath.
It would be a different story if Michael Myers found out he's related to Sarah Connor. You know, he's like, oh shit, she actually is a threat. I need to go and take her out.
Or I'm going to get out of here because she might get me. It's almost a bit like a paedophile, really, isn't it? Because taking power of a young child.
But then that's kind of what they did with the new 3 Halloweens. Is they turned Jamie Lee Curtis's character more into a Sarah Connor type.
I've just called Michael Myers a paedophile.
You did? I mean, he's not a great guy. He kills dogs. He was going to kill a child.
I wonder. I hope he doesn't have sexual flutters.
He does. He's got nothing going on down there.
Yeah, it's probably all mashed.
Loomis has tried.
I'm just going to try to see if it still works, Michael. Oh no! Because god, that's the now.
Start doing anything
now we're classing Loomis as a fucking pedo.
No, it's when Michael was a full-grown man.
Oh God!
With the mask on, and he's just
like a Weinstein thing going on now. Dr. Weinstein.
Let's move on. Let's go. Let's get Bill Murray in here. I think.
Bill, please help me.
Please rescue us from Dr. Loomis.
Oh God! It's all gone. It's all gone paedophilic.
Bill.
Hi, welcome back to World of the Strange.
World of the Strange.
World of Strange.
I've got to find him.
Strange.
I've got to. Tell me what you know, Jamie.
Whoa.
Why are you protecting him? She's not. She's mute. Leave her alone.
Tell me.
She's
like screaming inside. I can't tell you, you fucking idiot. I'm mute. Tell me. I can't.
The nurse is like, she hasn't spoken for a year.
That's not the tactic. We've been trying different methods to get her to speak. Screaming at her with your alcohol-smelling breath is not going to do it.
Right in her face. Well, thank you, Bill, very much for your introduction. The World of the Strange isn't really that strange, but it is horror-related. As we are doing our annual franchise face-off, I thought we'd have a look at some horror film franchises that have just been going on for a long time, and some of them you're like, what? How are there that many of them? I thought that would be fun. I know we covered Amityville and the 45 spin-offs of Amityville, so we won't be covering that one too much. But I thought it'd be fun to go down a list of horror franchises and just discuss them, discuss when they should have ended, perhaps, or when it works, when they've made like 10 of a franchise and stuff like that. So if you're happy to do that, we can jump in. Obviously, we won't talk about Friday the 13th too much, but there are a lot of them.
We have just been chatting about those kind of in a way.
And we will be covering our next Friday the 13th episode we do, which will probably be in 2025 now.
Yeah.
We will be covering part 7, The New Blood, which is basically Carrie versus Jason, and part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. So we'll have a lot of fun with those too.
Yeah.
And then they even bring a bounty hunter in one of those as well, don't they? In the Final Friday, there's that guy that's following Jason around. And actually, there is a weird.
Remember that.
Do you remember Jason passes himself between bodies?
I've got the DVD box set and the Blu-ray box set. Play all of them, or only go up to 8. So number 9 is is the one you're speaking of, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
And I can't remember that film at all.
That was the one where Freddy's hand shows up at the end and pulls Jason into hell.
Yeah, I can't remember that. So that's going to be really fun to watch. And I actually probably need to pick it up for the collection.
Well, there we go. So there's 12 of those. Amityville, there's actually...
Oh, dude, there's loads in there.
Yeah, but officially...
Yeah.
There's only 7.
Ah, okay, cool.
So you've got Amityville, Amityville 2, The Possession, Amityville 3D, oh boy, The Amityville Horror, and then you've got a couple of newer ones like The Amityville Awakening and a few other ones. But if you wanted to, you could go down a really crazy route, and there's about 30 or 40 of those. Now, there is a horror movie franchise I wanted to talk about. It's actually a comedy franchise. And they've just announced, the Wayans brothers have just announced they're making the 6th one.
Oh, yes.
Scary Movie. Now, the first one is brilliant, and we will be covering that at some point. Scary Movie 2 is fun.
I watched... that's another film I picked up at a charity shop when I didn't have the internet. I was just like, I'm going to watch this, and it was fine.
Yeah, I didn't really like 4 and 5. I don't really remember 5.
Well, the Wayans brothers weren't on them, were they?
No, it was the Naked Gun guys for the last couple, wasn't it?
It's just not as good.
But the Wayans have got the rights back, and they're going to be doing number 6. So be interested to see what they do with that.
Yeah.
Especially given sort of where horror is now, and Jordan Peele's input, and other black directors' inputs into horror. It'd be interesting to see what they play with that.
I expect a lot of A24 and Blumhouse stuff.
Yeah, they'll have fun taking the mickey out of some of those guys.
Yeah.
A franchise that it all blends into one for me. Underworld.
Wow.
I've seen them all.
Wow.
There's 5 of them.
Only for Kate Beckinsale, I'm sure.
Well, she's not even in a couple of them.
Oh.
They replaced her with somebody else for a couple, but then she came back for the last one. But there's Underworld. Then there's Underworld Evolution, Underworld Rise of the Lycans, Underworld Awakening, and Underworld Blood Wars.
Rise of my Lycan.
I don't remember much about them, really. I kind of thought it was cool that werewolves were fighting vampires, but the effects were awful, really, in hindsight.
Yeah.
What about Saw?
Saw? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's 10 of those.
Fuck me! I saw part 3. There's a bit where something just makes me feel sick, and I felt sick. I went, not watching these anymore. Don't like them. Don't know why I'm still watching them. Just don't enjoy this type of film, even though I love Hostel.
The first 3 are all good. The first 3 are very good. 2 and 3 aren't really like 1, as we know. We've covered 1, and 1 is more of it's not a torture porn film, really.
It's a thriller.
It's more of a thriller. It's like 7.
It's a horror thriller, but
they really went down that torture porn route for 2 and 3, and then obviously they continue a very convoluted but cleverly woven storyline.
Every time, because I'd got to the point I'd stop watching it. Every time you'd see up on a banner somewhere, new Saw movie, like, how is this?
Well, there's an 11th one coming out.
Of course there is.
But I haven't seen Saw X. The 10th one is the only one I haven't seen, which came out in 2023. Apparently good, but I'm not rushing to see it. Another franchise that we've covered all of now, but they are making a 6th one, is Final Destination. Tony Todd.
They are, as we talked about, very fun, accessible films. It's the same, like Friday the 13th, doing the same thing every time, but that's what we're here for.
And one of the better, newer franchises, and they're 25 years old now, but they're one of the better franchises. And there's only 5 of them, but they are making a 6th at the moment. Yeah, they're great fun.
Fairly beloved, aren't they?
Much like Freddy, you're there to see how people are going to die and what inventive ways they're going to die. That's what it's for, really.
Have you got Paranormal Activity?
Yes, they're on here. I'll get to that in a mo. Resident Evil, Gav. How many of those are there?
5?
7.
7.
Yeah. Well, 6 from the original ones, and then they did that new one in 2021, Welcome to Raccoon City, which is kind of like a soft reboot, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. Okay.
But the ones with Mila Jovovich, there are 6 of those in total, and again they go so crazily off the video games, and I didn't know what was going on by the end of them. I liked the first one, and I kind of liked the second one. The third one was good in the desert with the vultures who were zombies.
I can't remember that being okay.
Yeah, but after that, I just couldn't tell you what was going on. Couldn't tell you.
Again, though, it's just going, right, we could do another one. Right, okay, so we need to tap the story longer now, do we?
It's Paul W.S. Anderson basically putting his wife...
thing, isn't it?
It's Rob Zombie all over again, really. He's putting his wife, with Mila Jovovich in all of them. That's it, really. Another franchise that isn't talked about very lot, we've never covered any of them, is the Piranha franchise. There's only 4 of them, though.
Yeah. So what's that? The original late 70s?
Then, Piranha 78.
And the new one, then the 3
Piranha
Double D.
2, which, as we know, is James Cameron's first direction.
Oh, of course, Slimefish.
The Spawning, yeah. That was 82. And then Piranha 3D and Piranha 3 Double D. Hello.
Yeah. 3D's
I enjoyed the 2 new ones.
I don't mind. I like Kelly Brook's swimming in it.
I like Kelly Brook's swimming too.
It's very good.
Well, we talked about this earlier because you went to the cinema to watch it. Hellraiser.
Yeah. That's bit. There's a few of them in there.
6 of them, and then the remake in 22.
The remake's good.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's good.
Oh, dude, watch it.
I like the first 3. Really like the first 3. Because they're quite... If you just watch them as a little trilogy, it's very tightly knit.
We could do both the Hellraisers for an episode.
Well, I was thinking of us doing Hellraiser... Oh, you mean Hellraiser 87 and Hellraiser 22?
Yeah, because...
Oh, that's interesting.
Because the newer one, it's a female Pinhead.
Yeah.
So it's a different film.
That would be cool. Because I had it pending that we do Hellraiser 1 and 2, but that might make it more interesting.
I think that'd be good, because then we can compare them.
Okay, let me change that then. That sounds good. Yeah, we've got Hellraiser 87, then we had Hellraiser 2, which came out the year later. Basically, they're like, oh my god, we might have another Freddy on our hands. This is great. Let's make another one. Then they made Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, in 92, which I quite enjoyed. Hellraiser Bloodline, Hellraiser Hellseeker.
I saw one of them once. It's like in Israel or somewhere, maybe, or something.
I think that's number 3.
Oh, I feel like it's later than that, but I don't know.
And I think Hellraiser Judgment is the one in space.
Wow.
Yeah. Pinhead in space. Him, Jason, and Leprechaun. They've all been there.
I'm from hell. Where's that? They're in space. I don't actually know. Okay.
Well, a franchise I know you're a fan of, the original definitely, and probably some of them, is quite a big franchise as well on paper. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise.
Oh yeah, I kind of am. I do like bits and bobs of a lot of the films, but I have also issues with the films as well.
Incidentally, that series I watched.
It's fun having Leatherface run around with a chainsaw though.
That series I watched, 101 moments that would scare you. I think number 1 was the Leatherface reveal when he slams the door shut in the very first one in 74.
Yeah, it's that first film is kind of like the way Psycho did it without being graphic and gratuitous and just making it so unsettling that your mind conjures up the gore.
There's barely any blood in it.
It's a very well crafted film.
But the name alone, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I still like the Yorkshire Pudding Massacre that I had up the other day. That video.
Well, that was
though, wasn't it? As soon as I saw that person with a Yorkshire Pudding mask on his face, I was like, "That's the Yorkshire Texas Chainsaw Massacre."
That was unsettling.
It was.
Well, they made part 2 in 1986, so 8 years later. And I love number 2. It's a canon film. It's got Dennis Hopper in it.
I've not seen it since I was in San Francisco with one of my 2 videotapes I owned on repeat.
I think we'll be coming back to it.
Yeah, okay. I haven't seen it since then.
I think we're going to do another canon special.
I watched it too many times.
Then they did Leatherface. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Leatherface.
In my apartment where I was living, there's a friend who lived up the top floor, and he had a girl over. It's like a day where he's like, oh dude, we've got a videotape, we could watch a movie. And I was like, I've got 2 movies. I've got From Dusk Till Dawn Part 2 or Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. That's your lot. So which one do you fancy? Texas Chainsaw... Yeah, go for it, man.
I actually don't really remember 1990s Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 Leatherface. Although I would have seen it, but I don't remember it. I certainly remember 1994's Texas Chainsaw Massacre The Next Generation, which is the one that Renee Zellweger and all right.
I totally lost respect for Matthew McConaughey when he was on an interview. I think I've said about this before, and he listed all. He goes, "I write a list every day, all the stuff I gotta do." I sound like Elvis more than. And he writes down what he's doing, and the one from he writes that. So I write down, I'm gonna have a shit. It's like, but
why'd you write that down?
But we have to do that, and because he did that, and that means that when he's done that, he can cross it off to make himself feel better. I was like, fake, you're fake as fuck. That just gave me an insight into Matthew McConaughey, and I was like, fake as fuck. Nah, no, not into you anymore.
So what I like to do is just do a little shit. Just do a little shit in the toilet.
Take it off. Like, but that's a false.
I watched an interesting interview with him where he said the reason he got that role was because he read for a different character and they didn't like him because he'd never been in many films really at that point. And then he went back in and said, I want to read for the Psycho. And they were like, you're too good looking. We don't think that's going to work. Okay, you've got 5 minutes. Here's my secretary. Try and scare her. So he went into the kitchen and got a wooden spoon and basically made her cry. And they were like, "You've got the role." But him and Renee Zellweger don't really like to talk about that. The fact that was their first film.
He's a great actor, Matthew McConaughey, though. Generally good, and Frailty, he's brilliant.
I'm a big fan of the 2003 remake, the Anchor Bay Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
I thought that was good. I don't remember 2006.
Is that the one with Scott Eastwood?
In 2003.
Yeah, no, he'd probably be later on, wouldn't he? He'd been a later one.
I think that was 2006.
Yeah, maybe.
Then there was Texas Chainsaw 3D, which came out in 2013. Then there was Leatherface, which didn't need it. It was like the Batman Begins. That was
Netflix
2017.
One? Oh, no.
That was the one that came out in 2022, which you and I both loved.
And what was that called?
Just Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's so hard keeping up with these names. Why can't you just have part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4?
Yeah, why can't they call that like part 8? But we both of us really liked that one, didn't we?
Yeah, I did. I didn't like the social media bit, but at the same time, it's kind of funny, but it's a bit forced.
Well,
I liked it.
Let's get this one out of the way. Halloween, there are a lot of those. How many do you think there are off the top of your head? Can you think?
10.
13.
13?
Yeah, if you include... So there's Halloween 78. This is the confusing...
How could there be... Oh, yeah, of course there is. Shit.
Because we got 5, then we got Curse of Michael Myers, then we got H20, then we got Resurrection, then we've got Halloween, Rob Zombie 1 and 2. Then we've got Halloween 2018, 21 and 2022. So the confusing thing about the Halloween franchise is there's 3 films in it that are called Halloween. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to watch Halloween tonight. Okay, which one? 78? No. Oh, you're going to watch the 2007 one?
Well, I had this with Daisy. She's like, I want to watch the original Halloween movie. And I went, have you not seen the original one? She goes, I don't know. I've seen... and she had watched ones on Netflix. Then we start watching the original, and she's like, "Oh no, I've seen this. This was on Netflix." I was like, "Oh, for God's sake!" But Charlie's like, "I've never seen it." So I was like, "What do you mean? I've been educating you on horror for years. Why have you what do you mean you've never seen this?" And I've never seen it. So they hadn't watched it. Then we were going to do part 2, and then Daisy's really confused. What's part 2? And I was like, "It's in a hospital." And I said, "But not Halloween Kills." Which is quite in a hospital. And it's like, oh my God, this is too hard. And I said, have you seen the Rob Zombie? And I was like, because she likes White Zombie. And I was like, yeah, he made Halloween. Really? And I was like, yeah. And I think I've seen one of them. Well, it's a different take on it. And I think actually, when we come to review that, I'm going to have a lot more fun reviewing the Rob Zombie Halloween movie. Yeah, the second one. Even he doesn't like the second one. compared to reviewing the newer ones and these ones we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I have a lot more fun with Rob Zombie, and I love Halloween H2O. I'm a big fan of that movie.
It's one of my favourites in the franchise.
Halloween Resurrection, over the years, because I actually got it from HMV and took it back the same day I bought the DVD and demanded my money back because it was so shit, and they gave me my money back. I was so this is awful. I can't believe they gave me my money back.
Busta Rhymes was terrible.
But for some reason, I even had it on in the background over Halloween. For some reason, I kind of like it now because it's shit. I like to see it shit stuff, and I don't know. I'm kind of into it now.
It's very much a product of
its time
because it was cashing in on that whole teen slasher.
But also mixing with the Big Brother era.
Yeah, the social media side of things as well. Yeah.
So it was very funny, and so it's a real funny watch now, and I think it'd be really fun to review.
Well, the next franchise is
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Brilliant. There's only 4 of films in the next franchise, but I personally feel they're all quite strong. I'm talking about The Hills Have Eyes. I know you didn't really like the first one when we covered it, but I really like it.
I need to. Sarah's saying to me, like, "Oh no, I've watched those original," because she says she prefers the newer ones.
Yeah, the remakes are good. So,
and I need to watch them again. I think they're quite brutal, but I remember them being fairly well crafted film.
Yeah, and they came out in 2006 and 2007. The remakes. So, yeah, fairly decent. We've covered the entire Jaws franchise. We won't bother going on about that too much. There's 4 of them.
It's because early 2000s, we had this French New Wave gore thing going on. And I think that really opened everyone up to all of a sudden. Like, oh, we're now all of a sudden we're obsessed with these French horror movies that are coming out.
And I think
then people going, that's making money, right? Throw gore into your movies. So then we had like, I think Alexander Arger, wasn't he? Didn't he do the second Hills Have Eyes direction?
He did, yeah.
So we were getting those guys come over. So the brutal side of it is kind of introduced. It's quite nice though to have that coming in again, actually.
And it also then it kind of opened the door for Hostel and therefore torture porn films.
It did, and the rape revenge films were in still. Because there's another series, I Spit in Your Grave.
Yeah, I haven't got that on this list,
loads.
But there are a lot of those, particularly the remakes, like the new reboots. Predator.
Nice. New one. I can't wait for the new one. You excited for the new one?
Oh, I am. Well, let's talk about... I'll get to that in just a sec then. So there's Predator 87, which we've covered. Predator 2, 1990, which we've covered. Aliens vs. Predator, which we've covered as well. Then there's the Black Sheep of the Family, AVP2 Requiem.
And not just because you can't see anything when you're watching it.
Then there's Predators, which we both like.
I'm a fan of that film.
The Predator, which you didn't like, but I did like.
Oh, God, that's awful.
And then Prey, which came out in 2022, which blew us all away. It came out on Disney Plus.
And then the
new one's coming out.
People still don't even know, because it doesn't say Predator. People still don't know Prey. The amount of times I've had a conversation and said, "Have you a love of Predator? Have you not seen Prey?" No, what's that? It's basically Predator with like Native Americans. Oh, okay, yeah, it's really, really good. Oh, check it out, and people won't check it out.
Well, they've made a sequel to that, but that's still in production. However, the director's revealed he's secretly made another Predator film as well. So we're going to get 2 Predator films in the next 2 years.
Does that mean they're going to be straight to home with, like, because Disney...
I think they're going to be... One of them might be streaming. One of them is going to be cinema. I think the streaming one is the secret one. And I got a feeling that's the one that was rumoured where Predator shows up in feudal ancient Japan and has to go against a samurai warrior. Can you imagine how good that would be? So good. And then there's another one, which I think, judging by I can't remember what the title is now, but they're not giving anything away, but it sounds like it's going to be in the Wild West, the Old West.
Will Smith could be there.
Oh, I hope not. Fucking hell. Just slapping the Predator.
Wild West!
And the Predator, he slaps it and the mouth goes...
Up to the hand, say to the Predator's face, slap!
Keep my alien's mouth name out of your...
Motherfucking mouth!
Yeah, but anyway, Predator, decent. Cannot wait for the 2 new ones. One of your favourite franchises, and it's probably the biggest found footage franchise, is Paranormal Activity.
I am a big fan.
7 of those.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't like the last one.
8 if
the next of kin, is it?
8 if you include the Tokyo one, but because that is apparently supposed to be sort of a spin-off of it.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. I've not seen it.
But Paranormal Activity 1, 2, 3, 4, the marked ones, the Ghost Dimension, and Next of Kin. I haven't seen Next of Kin, which is the 2021.
I wasn't into it.
I'm going to go back through them at some point because I've got to say the first one terrifies me still. I find it hard to watch, especially if I'm on my own.
It's a great film.
It's terrifying. It's really scary. They did a great job of the tension and stuff in there. I don't really remember them, and again, the plots do tie in all really neatly, if I remember rightly, all the way through. There's some time travel and stuff as well. So
yeah, they're fun films.
I have to go back through those. I'd love to. I think for our next, because we're doing a found footage one next year, I think we're going to have to cover the first Paranormal Activity because it is a granddaddy of it already. It's not a granddaddy, but
it's a stepdad.
Yeah, it's a staple. Well, I'll tell you what isn't a staple. But there are 5 of them now. I've only seen the first 2, and that's Insidious.
Oh yeah.
Lucky now. I've seen Insidious. I actually thought it was quite good, and again, it was quite scary. Insidious 2, Insidious 3, Insidious: The Last Key, and Insidious: The Red Door came out in 2023. I haven't seen the last 2 of those.
No, I lost interest.
I'm not really that interested. I just thought the first one was a really good, creepy.
Yeah, it's all right, but then it happens to be Blumhouse, and easy to make money.
Yeah,
and they're well produced films. You can't not give it that. They're very well produced films, and some of the scare stuff is great. The fodder, and they know what they're doing though. And it's when like Blumhouse originally, you looked at as a company as in like kind of like A24 is now, but then it just kind of turned into, I don't know, do you know what I mean? It's some massive thing. So it's harder to know when a Blumhouse film comes out if it's actually going to be any good or not, where before you had a bit more of a mark of seal of approval.
You'll have fun with Megan, I promise. Just go into it wanting a good time.
Is it on a streamer?
It's just hit Netflix this week. That's how I watched it.
Oh, okay.
I was really excited to see it pop up on there. Couldn't wait.
Oh, I might do.
And it's the girl from Get Out, Alison Williams, who I'm a big fan of as well. So great stuff. Well, let's talk about Child's Play. We're working our way through that franchise. We've covered the first 4 of those. There are 8 of them if you include the remake, which came out in 2019. There's also a series, isn't there, which I haven't seen any of, and I hear it's very, very good. But they got it right with that one for the most part because Chucky is a great character. I didn't like it when they sort of spin off with a little kid, perhaps as much.
Yeah, it's funny because that series went the same route as Freddy and more comical.
Yeah, it just suddenly, by the time it got to the 4th one, it just went, Bride of Chucky, here we go.
I've not seen the TV show, but apparently it's all right.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah.
I will check it out when I get some time.
Yeah, do.
The Exorcist.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to covering part 2.
Yeah, well, our next episode will be 2 and 3.
Is that next episode?
Next episode is 2 and 3.
Fuck me. That's so cool.
Right now?
Later.
Oh, sorry.
Later. I've never, ever seen part 2.
Yeah. Well, I like it, but
really,
it's.
I've heard it's a piece of shit.
I like it because it's such a
piece of shit,
weird mess, and Linda Blair's trying, and it's just. But obviously the
don't
third
tell me.
one,
yeah, okay, cool. I was gonna say, don't tell me nothing about it. I've never seen a trailer. I know nothing of part 2.
But the third one has got the greatest jump scare in horror cinema.
Yeah, great.
People say.
Yeah.
Then you had that mess of
George C. Scott.
You had the 2004 Exorcist: The Beginning. Which they then re-edited and released a year later as a separate film called Dominion.
How can they do that?
It's mental, and I've watched them both, and I was just like, "What is the point in this?
How can you do that?" I know. The point is that it's going to make money, but It's like, how do you sleep at nights?
And then they released Exorcist the Believer last year, 2023, which I haven't seen yet. And I've heard is not very good.
Did I watch that one?
It's got 2 girls in that one, apparently.
Oh, no, I didn't see that one. That was also had the fingerprints of that guy from Halloween, the recent Halloween films, wasn't it?
That's right.
That's pretty much shut him down from doing any more horror, I think, now.
Indeed.
Yes, because they ended up spending a ridiculous amount of money to get the rights for the film, put it out, and everybody's like, shit! And they lost a bunch of money because they've got more Exorcist films coming out because they've spent so much money on acclaiming the rights. So they have to do that for, at least for their accountants and the tax people, at least. They have to go and do it to get some tax write-offs. So I think there is some Exorcist movies. Oh, look, while you keep talking.
Well, there's 6 Omen movies. We've covered the first one.
6 Omen films.
Yeah, Omen 2, Omen the Final Conflict. Then there was Omen 4, which is where it's a little girl. Then they remade it in 2006, which is kind of a bit of a Poltergeist remake. Like, what was the point?
Oh, The Exorcist had a TV show as well.
It did. I've watched it. I've seen the whole thing. I talked about it. It's not really anything to do with the movie, but yeah, it's not very good. And then the first Omen came out in 2024, which I really, really enjoyed. Did you watch that? It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it was good.
I really enjoyed that. I was surprised. We're talking about Freddy today. There's obviously 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those in total, not including... Oh, that does include the remake. The god-awful remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, which... Have you seen that?
No, never watched it. I knew... I had this inkling that it wouldn't be very good.
It's awful. So awful. But the Freddys, for the most part, are great, and we'll get into Freddy when we come on to the next film. The Purge is one that just keeps on ticking, isn't it?
Yeah. I enjoyed the first season of the show, TV show.
Oh yeah, I've not seen it, but I've heard good things.
Because that's what I wanted with that. I feel with the Purge, I want to watch a whole landscape of the Purge rather than individual stories, almost a little bit.
On a tangent, there's a new movie coming out which is a bit like the Purge, which I cannot wait, called Werewolf. Or Werewolves. And it's basically the Purge, but planet Earth is basically got a supermoon, and it turns half the planet into werewolves. So we've got this big dome over all the cities to keep the moon off of it, and once every couple of months they open the dome and let the werewolves run free, and you can go hunting them if you want or not. So it's kind of a futuristic werewolf hunting action film coming out in December this year.
Okay.
But the Purge, I really enjoyed the first couple. The third one and the fourth one, I don't remember them at all. And then I haven't seen the Forever Purge in 2021. I don't know if you've seen all of them.
No, I haven't seen all of them. I've seen bits and bobs. The Exorcist Deceiver. Exorcist Father Harris investigates teenage Emily's demonic possession by Asmodeus in Hazelwood. Joined by Dr. Mom, he faces visions. Dr. Mom, not Dr. Mom.
Okay.
He faces visions, deaths, paranoia, battling ancient evil, threatening to consume the town.
Because they did that with the what was the other series they did?
Father Daniel Harris, not Danielle Harris though.
There was another series I watched that was a bit like that. I can't remember now. But Jamie would kill us. Jamie J. Sammons would kill us if we didn't mention
Howling.
The Conjuring.
Oh, I thought you said Howling.
No, because she's a huge...
Because there's a Howling franchise.
There is, yeah, there is. I don't think I've got that one on my list.
Yeah, because I'm a big fan of that one in the castle where it's a murder mystery.
There's 8 or 9 of them.
That's a good one. I watched that again with Sarah not that long ago, and I was like, it's decent, isn't it? She's like, yeah, it's not bad. And it's still now.
I watched all 9 of them for my werewolf Halloween I did a couple of years back when I did just werewolf movies for my 31 days.
Yeah.
But no, The Conjuring. She's a big fan of The Conjuring films, so...
she coined the Wannaverse, didn't she?
She did coin that phrase. Copyright. So let's go through these. So you got The Conjuring, 2013. Then you got Annabelle, 2014. Then The Conjuring 2, which I remember being very good, 2016. Then Annabelle Creation the following year. So it's not almost every year. Then the following year, The Nun. Then the following year, Annabelle Comes Home. 2 years later, The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. 2 years later, The Nun 2.
Devil made me do it.
The Nun 2. I have only seen The Conjuring 1 and 2 and Annabelle 1 and 2. I haven't seen The Nun. I haven't seen Annabelle 3. I haven't seen The Conjuring 3. And I haven't seen The Nun 2. Are they worth watching, Jamie? Let us know.
No, I've not really
She's
seen
going to
them.
say, yeah, of course. I'm actually interested to go back and watch them because they're making money, aren't they? You know, they keep making them. And they released 8 films in 3 years.
All right.
Sorry, in 10 years, sorry. Not 3. That'd be mental. Well, you talked about this franchise, the next one, earlier, and that is VHS.
Yeah.
I didn't realise how many of these there are.
Yeah, there's a few now. Yeah. Was it 6?
VHS, VHS 2, VHS Viral. You could coin Siren, which is a spin-off. That is included in the franchise, apparently. Have you seen Siren?
No.
Which is a spin-off of the girl who is really a demon.
Oh, yeah. From the first one.
VHS 94, VHS 99, VHS 85, and then VHS Beyond.
And they've got a new
7
one.
of them.
They've got a new one coming.
I would like to go back and watch those at some point, I think.
Yes, we did actually discuss about seeing if we could get hold of them to do a segment ourselves as Deadbolt Films, but we need to actually make a feature film to prove ourselves. So we didn't bother. But, yeah, they're all right.
Wreck. How many of those?
4.
6 if you include the 2 remakes.
Oh, okay, I suppose.
The English language ones. But yes, you're right, 4.
Yeah.
Wreck 2, Wreck Genesis, and Wreck Apocalypse.
Apocalyptic Glory.
I think Wreck 4...
Is that like a Knickerbocker Glory?
Knickerbocker Glory.
What
and
is
Apocalyptic
Knickerbocker Glory?
It's a big ice cream with a cherry on top and milkshake and stuff in a big glass. It's absolutely delicious. It's absolutely delicious. Scream, as we know, there's 6 of those, and there's a 7th one in production. I haven't seen the 6th one, but it hits UK Netflix next week, so I will be watching.
Oh, funny enough, I've just taken a subscription out for Paramount because my mum wants to watch some more Yellowstone again. I'll be watching Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone, which I quite like. It's not a bad show, actually.
Yeah.
But they've got all the screams. I was thinking I'd probably need to watch that new one, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it when it hits
I will.
Netflix.
I'll watch it. But
I've really enjoyed number 5. It really shocked me at how good it was.
Yeah, and I didn't like it.
I preferred number 5 over 3 and 4 and possibly 2.
Blasphemy.
I know. Alien movies, Gav.
Yep.
9 of them.
Fuck me.
Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Alien vs. Predator, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, Prometheus, Covenant, and most recently, we both really enjoyed Romulus. So we will probably be covering Romulus because we've covered all of those.
And they got
Alien
new
vs.
TV
Predator
show coming out for Aliens.
They have, and that looks great, doesn't it?
I've not really looked into it because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about it.
I think we're establishing in this massive world of Strange that there's a fucking lot of franchises out there in the horror world.
Indeed, and I just wanted to run through them, really. I'm not going to go through any more.
Let's not do many more, no.
Yeah.
I'm getting bored, so
there's the Evil Dead, there's the Night of the Living Dead, and all of the Romero ones as well. But actually, that is the end of my list. So.
Yeah, there's loads. It's a funny thing with the horror genre. You got all these franchises. You do, I suppose, with a lot of things like Fast and Furious. And
that's probably one of the biggest ones that isn't horror, isn't it?
Yeah, you do get them, but as you can tell from that list, definitely in the horror world, there's a lot more. And it's just, again, people don't like new shit.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, why do you think that the horror genre is the one that's got the most
big
franchises like this? Why is that?
I think,
in your opinion,
I think it is the same as the reason why Hollywood generally do remakes and sequels, because people don't like new things. And horror's a weird one because we like we don't like new things because we like the comfort blanket, and sometimes horror is quite often a comfort. So I reckon there's probably something there with it being really comforting, knowing we're going back in to watch Freddy. We know the killer already. We're not as scared, but we want to still be scared. Possibly something like that.
I think it's money as well, because horror films are still seen as cheaper.
Yeah, money's always involved.
The cheaper genre, you know, and they're usually cheaper to make for the most part. And so you can bang out, especially back in the 80s and 90s, you can bang out one every couple of years. And you know you're going to make your money back plus a bit more, because enough people will go and see it. You're not going to be a bagillionaire, but you're going to make your money back, and then you're like, well, we better make another one to keep this. So it's like a regular income for some of these franchises. You know what I mean? I mean, if you look at like the Friday the 13th, as we said, they almost every year they were coming out in the 80s. There was a new one almost every 18 months. It was just a regular income for Sean S. Cunningham and the guys that were involved in that.
I wonder if we didn't have home cinema and no one could, you know, it never evolved. And it was still just you only watch the film in the pictures in the cinema. If we'd have so much franchises, probably would. Probably be exactly the same.
I can't really imagine what it would be like going to watch Halloween 5 or... You know.
Well, it was quite good because then you could... Well, for the collectors as well, there is that thing as well with horror fans. We're all a bunch of nerds, and we do like to have things like collections and stuff. We're all probably all autistic, all of us.
We're all completist. Like me, I'm a completist. I have to have seen everything.
And I like in collection, I've got to have this. And like I was saying before, I wanted the Halloween collection, etc. So I think the home market as well and the buying of stuff as well helps.
People that like to own the material copy of something,
because I just, I'm guaranteed there's going to be examples of where toys and merchandise from a film's properties probably made more money than the film itself.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
I think probably the Star Wars toys,
but they wouldn't have done the Star Wars sales. But it would be up there.
In the 70s and 80s, they did.
Probably did before they
hit like DVD.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They made money.
There's various reasons, but I don't know. I think it works for us horror fans.
Yeah, it's interesting and it's fun. It's what makes the horror franchise, the horror genre, fun. Yeah. Because you've got like part 10 of something, you know? You don't get that very often, but it also means that people that aren't into horror frown upon it. They go, oh, you're off to watch so-and-so part 6, are you? And, they talk about that in Monster Squad. He goes to watch his movie and his dad's like, what? You're going to part 6? Didn't they kill him in the last one? And he's like, Dad, they kill him in every one when he comes back. That's the beauty of it.
And that's kind of the only reason Scream worked. Otherwise, it wouldn't have done it. It'd just been nothing because it went so meta at a time when horror was having issues with people going to actually watch it. Yeah.
But I thought that would be a fun conversation and one that would sort of...
Yeah.
We could just get, It's interesting. It's always been something I'm very interested in watching, because I like seeing where the franchises go. I like seeing where they start. They usually start quite strong, and they usually go very, like with the Halloween franchise, it goes in a very strange direction, or they just keep plodding along like Final Destination. You get the same thing every time, but it works. They try different things. Halloween 3, look at that. I wonder if that would have worked for Michael, if maybe he'd got like a different mask in every one. And
wouldn't have worked. The franchise would have died.
Yeah, it would have. You're right. All right. Well, talking of dying, Bill, do you want to take us out here?
Is he going to kill us? Take us out? Take us out?
He said to me, he's going to kill me. I'm going to see a giant god in my dream.
Wow.
Bill?
I'm going to see a giant dog. Bye.
God backwards.
That's all the time we've got for this week on World of
Strange.
Next week, though, Gimme Ira. Hairless pets. Weird.
His mother was a God-fearing woman. His birth was an unspeakable horror.
Please don't let him do that!
His life and death have been one incredible nightmare. But now all that is going to change because Freddy wants to become a daddy.
Want to make babies?
What's wrong with me? You're just a little pregnant.
Even if he has to adopt.
No!
Do unborn babies dream?
When it comes to chills.
It happened while I was awake.
When it comes to screams.
The party just started.
When it comes to pure terror.
Bon appetit.
No one delivers like Freddy. Better buckle up.
All right, Krueger. This time it's for keeps.
A Nightmare on Elm Street 5. The Dream Child.
It's a boy.
When it comes to terror, remember, Freddy knows best.
A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child from 1989.
Was there ever the wet dream?
No, thank God. I wouldn't want Freddy in my wet dream. Although Johnny Depp did have a wet dream in the first one, in a way, didn't he?
A Nightmare on Elm Street 69, a wet dream.
Anyway, the pregnant Alice finds Freddy Krueger striking through the sleeping mind of her unborn child, hoping to be reborn into the real world.
I had a wet dream once when I was
oh my God,
like
straight in there.
I don't know, teenager, in my younger horny days. Not that I've got any less horny, but had a wet dream. Woke up, and there was a cup of tea down by the side of my bed. So at some point, my mum had come in and just dropped off a cup of tea. I'm hoping I wasn't moaning away in my sleep.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you had the covers over you, so she wouldn't have been able to see anything.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't remember.
Let's hope so.
So I just thought I'd let everyone know that.
Thanks for that.
I like to be open with everyone.
It's nice to have a cup of tea given to you while you're masturbating or having a wet dream.
I wasn't masturbating, was I? I didn't know I was doing it.
Well, you don't know what you were doing in your sleep.
No, like you see, you get God, I just make a mess.
God speaks to me, you just have a...
I make a mess.
Well, talking of a mess, this film...
Oh, lovely segue, sir.
This film is the definition of milking a franchise. Now, again, it's got some great things in it. We have come here for the effects. The effects are great for the time, 1989. There's a fantastic moment where Freddy is morphing out of Alice towards the end, and there's some really good effects in it. The kills with the Freddy movies, the kills are always great. Like Final Destination, as we mentioned earlier, you know what you're going to get with these movies. You're going to get some crazy kills because he comes in your dreams. So he might put you in a video game. He might put you in a comic book. He might turn you into this, that, and the other. It's great. So that is fantastic, and that holds up well. I also like the fact that it follows on and it brings, obviously, Robert Englund. We've got to have him, and some of the characters from the last movie into this one, or at least Alice anyway. But this film is, they didn't have a clue what they were doing. It's like they had an idea and they just couldn't get it past a certain point. So the whole film is essentially her and her buddies just chasing around 2 or 3 different locations.
Well, it was like the beginning of the film. After, like, I don't know, 13 minutes maybe or something, I'm thinking, there's no real plot at the moment. I just like, it's been a dream, and then there wasn't. It's a gradual high school like thing going on, and then it's a dream, straight into dream again. It's like nothing.
Yeah.
Well, what's going to feel like I'm in a TV series? It's the next episode continuing or something. What's happening?
Well, I do honestly feel like they just didn't have any ideas, so they just spliced together a few dream sequences and patched in a very interesting plot point about Freddy. You know, if you're pregnant and you've got a baby in you, that baby is dreaming. So yeah, that's a really interesting idea.
It is. It's taking pregnancy and doing that whole thing of babies dream, and it asks that question, which is really a great idea.
Yeah. And Freddy's weapon is dreams. That's how he gets to you. So that's good, but it's a very, very, very boring film. Broken up only by some good kills.
It's because the repetition.
Yeah.
Of the same thing doing over again, the same thing. There's nothing really, there's no strong point. It's not like the train is on the track and you're on that train and that train's the story. And you're like, great, I'm on this and it's from here and we've got to do it. Even though there is kind of, the story ends up being, it kind of explains itself as well. Here you go, listeners, here's the story. It's a nun trapped in a tower and you've got to save her in the dreams. That's kind of crazy cocaine-fueled 80s type film logic or something going on there.
You've got to release the nun's soul.
Which is kind of cool, but it just doesn't really do it. It kind of does, but not really.
Another plus point is it gives us a lot more of a backstory on the rumoured Son of 100 Maniacs thing, because we actually see the nun that was... We don't see her raped by 100 men. But...
yeah, but it's so implied, and it's really dark. When that lady realises she's locked in that mental...
And the man counts.
Psychiatric ward.
I'm sure they're all here, 100 of them. That's probably about
just
right.
locks the door. She says, wait, and then all of them look to her, and they sort of pin her down. It's like, oh, God.
Robert Englund is one of those inmates as well,
yeah, because he's in the dream when it comes out.
So it gives us more about that, and we deal a lot with Amanda Kruger, Sister Amanda Kruger, the nun. But the way that it doesn't gel, the way that they have to release... So to break this down, listeners, if you haven't seen this for a while or if you've never seen it, essentially Alice is pregnant and Freddie is using her unborn baby's dreams to kill her friends and therefore make himself strong enough with their souls so that he can come back into the real world. In the meantime, her and her Scooby-Doo gang have figured out that Freddie's mum's corpse, because she killed herself, she's in limbo, so if they can find her corpse, she'll be released from limbo. Then her ghost can basically banish Freddie back to the depths of hell. That is a really flimsy storyline.
It's failing from the same as last time, the other film, really, isn't it, though? It's just like, let's tag this. Essentially, I guess you are going to get writers sometimes who write universes, but we only see, one little bit. Like, I know Thingamajiggy, Sixth Sense director
Shyamalan,
he writes massive universes. There's like one character in his script, which is a real bystander, will have a whole world going on with things going on, and some people do that, and so if you were to follow on stories, you could be like, well, that's great, because the original writer had this outline where we were going, but when you start going, right, it's made money, right, next one, okay, you didn't write the first one, watch it, write us that, write us a movie like that, but keep the story going. Oh, okay.
And it can work. It can work these days with things like the Marvel films and stuff, where you can tie them together.
But generally, if you had some of the same people doing it, where this was for Halloween, the producers there, that name is essentially main producers. So there is you'd hope with that there would have been a more, but obviously it had the issues, but we're not talking about that film, we're talking about this series. So if it goes from different people, but this was always New Line, wasn't it? Because this is what saved New Line, wasn't it? New Line was the house that Freddie built.
Yep.
Yeah, it saved them from going bankrupt, essentially. So they knew what they're doing, and I reckon they said to the effects artist, fucking here's a bag of coke, go wild, have a laugh, make the most goriest, craziest shit you can, and we're just green light it all the way.
Yeah, and I mentioned it, but there is actually and again, something that the first one has, which I liked, is the characters, and this one has got some characters that I like as well. And one of them is a comic book artist who's a real geek, and at one point he goes all aha, and he goes into his comic book.
Take my hand.
No, take on me.
Oh, that one then. Right.
But then he becomes his own creation, which is the Phantom Protector, or the Phantom Prowler, and he takes on Freddy. Then Freddy becomes Super Freddy. So you get some fun kills again in this. My favourite kill is
Phantom Prowler sounds like a pervert.
It does. It does.
The midnight foggy pervert.
Oh, the Phantom Prowler is
the smelly perverts on the run.
My favourite kill is Dan's, when Dan falls asleep driving his car and then he dreams that he's on a motorbike.
And turns into one of the later Mad Max films.
Yeah, he just morphs into half man, half motorbike and smashes into a tree.
That's the thing, though. All the effects in these films are fantastic. All the effects, just like, that's amazing. If you could just slowly just look at what's going on there, because the camera moves quite fast. That's why Fangoria was always good. It was a magazine you could open up, look at the pictures, and just look at the picture for so long, go like, that's so good and so mentally disturbing. Then you'd watch the movie and you might not even see it, or be like, boom, and it's gone, like, oh. And it's such a shame. That's the thing with artistry with film. Sometimes a film, it should almost be like every bit you pause on that movie. Sometimes you can do it with Netflix, you pause it and all of a sudden Netflix logo comes up. It looks like the picture they've chosen to do there, because it just looks so good. A good movie, you can almost do that. Pause it each time, it just looks fantastic. You know, I don't even know where I'm going with this.
But I think the Freddy movies are really aimed at the younger crowd. Although they're horror movies and they're usually rated 15 or 18, these kills, because they don't really make sense. It's just a cool way for someone to die. So as a 12-year-old boy or girl, you're watching this thinking, that was cool. On the playground, you're like, then he turned into a motorbike and it exploded. Yeah. Or then he went into his comic book and Freddy skateboarded after him and they all, you know, then he shredded him up into paper. And that's great. And these kills are great. But unfortunately, 5 or 6 great kills in this film and 5 or 6 examples of fantastic special effects, practical and early CGI, don't make a good film when the bits in between are just boring and a bit meaningless, really. And I'm going to say now, this is the worst in the Freddy franchise. This is, you know, and the reason why the next one after this was called Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, is they knew they'd done it, everything they could, so they were going to kill him off. And the next one's got loads of cameos in it from other celebrities and really good effects. And it kind of was supposed to be the last one. Obviously, then Craven then decided he was going to do a new Nightmare, which was meta and that kind of thing. But yeah, I really feel like this was the death. At one point, this was the death of the franchise, or close to being the death of the franchise, really. Because 1 is good. Obviously, it's a classic. You don't like it as much, and that's understandable. 3 is probably my favourite, The Dream Warriors, where the kids all go in and do their thing. 2
is my favourite. 2
is brilliant, incredible film, and up there for me. And I love number 6 as well. 4, though, last year we talked about number 4, The Dream Master. It's so forgettable. It's good, but it's forgettable. This isn't even forgettable. This is just, don't bother. You know, unless you're a completist.
And that's what I'm saying, though, is coming towards the end of the 80s, like the VHS booms around 82, 83, people started be able to get these films in their at home and rewatch them and be like, oh, let's have parties and watch them. Let's swap videotapes, and it was like a real proper thing before we had Netflix or internet like that. Think of this, people, if you never knew this, and we're all youngsters, not like us old fogies here, we had to, you know, share videotapes and stuff and things like this to watch some movies. Sometimes it's hard to get hold of.
Sometimes, genuinely, like you just brought it up, I wouldn't have seen a film other than pictures in Fangoria or other, you know. And
there's no way to watch some of these movies. There's literally no way to watch some of the films, apart from the video shop.
Some of the Romero zombie films, I only saw pictures of them in books and magazines. It wasn't until I was in my late teens, early 20s that I managed to get hold of copies of some of them and actually see the machete in the head. And
I would say in a video shop, generally, I would say just under half of the video content in a video shop would have been a genre, would have been horror, as taken up a massive out of any other genres.
It was horror was huge.
So you could see a lot
in the 80s,
but
definitely.
There's so, as you can see nowadays with Primer now, when you go on there and you're like, what the hell is this? And like, the front cover looks incredible, and you watch it. Me and Sarah watched the most random crazy shit, man. But I never saw it then, but it was out there, it was made, there was massive amounts of films, but we only got a certain amount, so to try and find some of these films was just a nightmare. A Nightmare on Elm Street, in fact. A Nightmare in the video shop. So, like, come towards the end of the 80s, so this is when it was the end and the death of the slasher films. This is where action films like Schwarzenegger were doing gore, Commando and stuff like that. Loads of blood and gore.
Van Damme was
taken. So the gore was taken to the mainstream with things like action films and stuff. And
people wanted to see Van Damme kicking people in the head and doing backflips.
And horror got boring, and people got bored of it and it really dipped. And that's when we went into like creature. We'd have like creature movies come out around this sort of time. We started getting a few like bug movies and things like that, and through the mid-90s. And it really went down until Scream 96. So we had a downhill from the early 90s until Scream 6 was just a massive amp up.
And the last probably
back into slashers.
97, 98, 99, we had some great movies, you know, a couple more Screams
and
we had.
That's because Scream did so well, money started going back into it, so people were putting money into making horror movies, so we got more horror movies.
And Halloween H20 came out and got that rejuvenated the Halloween franchise. That was on that bandwagon. Final Destination, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah. And you know, if something makes money, we get more of them. So it's always good when a horror movie comes out, regardless if you like it or if you don't like it. It's good for us as a horror fan.
My biggest problem with this film is, or one of my biggest problems, other than the repetition and the boring stuff and the plot really not really being very well written, is Robert Englund. He just seemed bored, and it's just another paycheck for him in this one.
Well, at this point, he would have been doing offered a lot more other films and wanting to branch out and do other stuff. Like Freddy's always his thing, that he's going to be, and he knows it'd be written on his gravestone. He said that himself.
Yeah.
I look forward to hopefully and potentially meeting him next year at a horror convention.
But I do feel like, similar with Christopher Lee with the last couple of Dracula films, in this one, Freddy was just there. It wasn't. He had a couple of good lines like "It's a boy," but he was just saying stuff from a script like maximum overdrive when the kid's a motorbike and full throttle, pedal to the metal, and that didn't make any sense. It was just Freddy saying random things. There was nothing clever about what he was saying. Usually he's quite clever with his catchphrases and what he says.
No, not at all.
And he said bitch so many times throughout this. He was just, everything he said was a hey bitch.
And you got to think this is 89, so you got to think things like Predator and some other sort of the Schwarzenegger main films have come out, and catchphrases. Arnie's doing that stuff, and so he is jumping on it.
Out by now.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. So he is jumping on it as Freddy Krueger, his character, and the people writing it and the producers are jumping on that as well, going, this is so popular. Because right then, Schwarzenegger was one of the main big things in the cinema around that time. It was balls to the walls. The 80s was like anything goes. It's fueled by fucking producers with cocaine up their nose and loads of money. Anything goes. Yeah, you'll never see the films that are made in the 80s ever made again, because they're just fucking out there, you know.
Which is weird, because Freddy kind of almost invented that catch. He was famous for, not so much in the first and second one, but by the third and fourth one, he was saying those catchphrases, and we loved it. But then by this one, it feels quite forced.
Yeah.
When he says the catchphrase, you know.
It's going like you have to have a catchphrase each time. You know, I watched a movie recently, a very new movie, I think it was, and there's a catchphrase on it. It came out, someone said something after they died, and I really enjoyed it. Might have been in The Beekeeper, not sure.
Yeah, I mean, nothing beats someone like Arnie or someone, you know.
Have you seen The Beekeeper yet?
I haven't. I've heard it's very, very good.
I really enjoy that film.
Bit of the old Stafe.
He's great in it, though. Yeah.
I'm going to keep your bees.
It's him doing what he does, but not trying so much, if that makes sense. It comes across a lot. It's just really good. It's very John Wicky. I watched John Wick again actually the other day. I was in a bit of a thing going on. I'm going to watch another revenge film, so I watched the first John Wick movie, and you don't realise how stylish that film is.
Yeah, it's great.
Because all you think about how good the fighting is and Keanu Reeves in it. If you take that away and just look at the neon blue and green lights and the way it's shot and the soundtrack and the way the camera glides with him in his suit, it's a beautiful movie. Take the action out of it. John Wick's a great movie.
Yeah,
in that
it
rights,
is.
you know.
I do like that franchise.
Anyway, I've been enjoying this conversation about the 80s horror movies with you and effects and money and cocaine up noses. But what else is going on with this film, Dan?
I mean, we've covered it, really. I mean,
yeah. I don't know. I've got all my notes.
This is a strange episode because we're covering part 5 of 2 big franchises, but
we're
sadly
not
they are
that-
the weakest.
I'm
and
not
we
that
won't-
hyped for them, no.
We won't bore you listeners with us deep diving like we often do. You know, if you want to revisit Freddy 5, do so. You know what you're getting, but it isn't going to be as fun as 1, 2, 3,
the
or
best,
4 even.
for me, the absolute best part of this movie, Freddy is skateboarding. And on Halloween, I was wearing the Freddy jumper, and the hat's too big for me, so it would have fallen off my head. But I actually went skating down my local skate park in my Freddy jumper, and not one person knew or said, "Oh no, it's Freddy Krueger because it's Halloween." No one tricked us or whatever.
You wanted to talk about the little boy in this.
Yeah, it's the same kid that pisses off Sam Neill when he's talking about dinosaurs at the beginning of
that
Jurassic
kid.
Park.
When he says...
So if Sam Neill gets the claw and pushes it right down the kid's chest and gives the kid fucking nightmares forever.
Yeah, he says to him...
He has to go to therapy.
You know what a raptor would do? It would slice your belly open. And then it would... Just enough that your guts would start coming out. And then... I didn't realise that was him. So he...
I know that little cunt.
Because Jacob, this kid called Jacob in this film keeps turning up, and we realise he's like a projected vision of Alice's unborn son. Again, it just doesn't quite make sense. Why is he there? And then he turns into Freddy at the end. It's like...
I still got to say...
The nun says, try and trick Freddy. And he goes, hey, Freddy, Dad, you want to show me how to kill people? And it's like, what is going on?
Yeah, no, it's just like, no, there's no story. The effects artists are making the story up because they're showing what they could do. And it is an effect spectacular sort of,
An FX spectacular.
I was going to say extravagant fuck off. Anyway, but there's a bit in it where Freddy and a woman are kissing and they're real into like society shunting style. And their lips are pushed together. And some of the effects are all practical and they are...
Isn't it?
The effects are all fantastic. If you watch it, just get an edited version of effects just because you like effects.
Let's briefly talk about that then, because, to describe that, Freddy kisses Alice.
And their lips
they
join
morph
and
into each other. And then he starts coming through her and slicing out of her.
Yeah.
And then you get this weird Freddy Alice monster.
Standing there together like... morphed together.
And funnily enough, the opening credits are a riff on the Thing's opening credits as well, the way that it appears.
Yeah.
So again, like incredible effects. But what's the point when it's just?
Yeah, I don't know. It's literally like whose balls are bigger than the other effects artists' balls, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously I've made my notes on this, but I'm not really...
I've made notes, but I don't know. I watched it earlier, but
my final note on it really is...
Rap song.
Before I get to that, my final note on this is a mess.
It is.
And this is legitimately milking a franchise, although it is full of cutting-edge effects. But yes, there is a rap song over the end credits, which Gav and we love our rap, and it's Kool Moe Dee doing a song where he disses the whole song is an LL Cool J diss, because he's saying he calls him loose lips, and he basically says the LL stands for lots of things like lily livered and things like that.
What a strange choice for the.
It's weird.
I bet LL's like comes in sometimes. Dad, I'm watching a horror movie. What are you watching? Nightmare on Elm Street 5. I'm not watching it. Why? Because at the end there's a rap song and it's talking about me, and I don't like it.
He got Kool Moe Dee back because he dissed him in a track a few years later. So, early rap battles back then, diss tracks.
Anyway, Freddy skateboarded.
That, to me,
that was fun.
That is one of the best things about it is the song playing over the end.
And Freddy skateboarding.
Yeah, because even the superhero stuff wasn't done very well.
That only takes like 5 minutes of the movie, really. The whole rap song on the credits and like literally a bit of him skating.
But also, Gav, not to take away from your favourite part, but there was no point in that. That kid was never mentioned, I'm really into skateboarding. They just put something that was cool at the time into a scene because they could.
That's what producers do.
1989, you had Back to the Future, 1 and 2 were out. Lots of skateboarding.
What's
and
cool right now?
hoverboards.
Yo-yos. Add yo-yos.
They had, but one of the Police Academy movies had skateboarding in it. So there's a few skateboarding movies like Gleaming the Cube around about this time. So yeah, what else? They had a whiteboard in the producers' room, and on there they were writing, "What's cool right now? Comic books. Put that on there. Cool Mo D. Yeah, put him on there. He's going to diss LL Cool J. Why? Don't know. What else? Skateboarding. Put that on there. Yeah, great. Motorbikes. Yeah, I watched Mad Max last night. Great. Turn him into a Mad Max robot. Great. Next. And that's all it was. It's just like a random, a cocaine list of ideas.
And nowadays it's really hard to make a movie and get any money from anyone to make a movie.
Crazy.
Which it is, and that's not me saying that. That's generally the independent cinema world.
And it's surprising that Robert came back. But I guess he came back because he heard the 6th one was going to be the final one, and he wanted to put his monster to bed, as it were. But then he got to play himself in the 7th one, which is great. So I don't know. It's a dip in the franchise, and we've got some good ones to come. The next one is very good, and the 7th one is really good as well. But I don't think we should waste our listeners' time with too much more on this one. It's the thumbs down from me.
It's a thumb down for me as well.
How often do we both give 2 thumbs down?
A double thumbs down.
I know, but they are sadly the weakest in both franchises.
They are the weakest links.
Goodbye. So I guess we'll take a little break and come back and
the outro.
Do the outro.
Yeah.
And we're back again. So that was episode 166.
Sexy.
In the can. 66. That was our annual franchise face-off and a belated Halloween episode.
Yes, it was.
So next Halloween, we'll be covering the final Nightmare. Freddy's dead. And we'll be covering...
it's not though, is it?
Ant-Man versus Michael.
Ant-Man. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Paul Rudd. But what are we doing in our next episode? Well, I already touched on this, but Gav's excited. We are going to be finishing up the original Exorcist franchise.
Yeah.
With Exorcist 2, The Heretic. Not The Heretic with Hugh Grant. From 1977, and following that up with 1990's Exorcist 3, which I'm really excited to talk about. It's a great film. Weird and great.
Yeah, Brad Dourif.
Yeah, it's great, and it's got
George Scott. And I don't know Exorcist 2, so I'm really intrigued. How many times have you seen Exorcist 2?
4. Exorcist 2 probably about 3 times.
Okay.
After that, it's a patron pick, Gav. Patron pick. Rachel. Sorry it's taken so long to announce what you picked for us. You don't know what these are, do you?
I do, because we had a little phone conversation recently.
Fantastic. So, episode 168 will be Rachel's picks, which are both from 2022. One of them, I've not seen either of them. One of them I'm desperate to see. It's on Netflix now, and that's called Talk to Me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know a lot about it.
She said she wanted to choose accessible movies for other people to watch. So very, very thoughtful of you,
Rachel. And she's also picked a German film called Old People.
Yeah, so I don't know that.
About pensioners who just suddenly, a bit like Mum and Dad, I think, from what she's told me. But she also picked for us to watch with Nicolas Cage. Old people killing younger people. Great. And if it's German, it's probably going to be a bit edgy. So let's get into that. And then if we can get back on track, our final episode before the Christmas special might be a Peter Jackson special. And we'll be covering Bad Taste from 1987. So we can talk all about guerrilla filmmaking, which Gav knows a little bit about.
I love Bad Taste.
and we're pairing that up with one of his beloved ones, which I'm not a huge fan of, but everybody loves it. The Frighteners.
Okay, yeah, cool.
From '96. So
bad taste is Peter Jackson. It's the reason why it's called Deadbolt Films, because he has winged nut.
Indeed.
And I was like, well, he's got nuts, so I'm gonna have Bolt. What's Bolt? Deadbolt. But brilliant, done.
So. Bad Taste and Frighteners.
Yeah, he's a big influence, that, especially that movie and the way it was made over weekends. I'll talk loads about the ins and outs of that film.
Yeah, it's
inspiration for me doing Shadow of Death, which is a little segue. Amazon is now free on Amazon Prime and Foursome, Horror Channel, and Plex maybe as well.
And weirdly, my face is on the thumbnail.
There and watch it.
When you click on the film, I come up.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, me in the woods. Whilst you're like deciding whether you want to watch the trailer or read the cast, it's me.
Isn't it good?
It's weird. It's weird. I showed Alice today. I pressed my remote control and said, because I've got one of those Fire TVs, so I said, "The Shadow of Death," and she looked at me like, "What?" And it came up, and I said, "Who's that?" She was like, "Oh my God, you're on Prime." I was like, "Yeah," but I said, "I'm also on another film on Prime, because it also you can rent Preternatural on Prime. You don't have to pay to rent that one, but we appreciate it if you wanted to. But yeah, so I'm on 2 films on Prime now, Gav, thanks to you. Thanks to our friendship.
That's fine.
2 Prime films.
Have you said to the kids, showing them the Shadow of Death a picture?
No, I haven't yet. I don't think they'll recognise me because I've got a completely shaved head and just a moustache.
I was explaining to I was chatting to Lodge. Stayed over the other night, which was very nice. At my new flat, me and him had a little sleep over here. It was nice. We rented out Despicable Me 4, which was very enjoyable. And I was explaining about an actress rang me up who I'm working with tomorrow, and Jane, who is Jamie in Shadow of Death actually, which means it's the 3rd feature film from with those you just said, and the one that I'm making now, which I'm shooting tomorrow. She's been in every one, same as you.
That's
actually,
brilliant.
I suppose. Yeah. And I was explaining something to him, and he said, "Oh, that sounds right. Can I watch it?" And I said, "Nope." He said, "Oh no," and I said, "No, you can't watch that till you're probably 18."
Well, Alice said,
and it's not out yet, guys. It's out soon, though. Amanda, it's called.
And I said, "Will you show them Shadow of
soon,
Death?" I said, "No, I won't show them Shadow of Death because it's got
no,
penises being severed, weed smoking, and loads of sex jokes, and no,
absolutely not, and the gore as well."
Yeah, well, the penis alone,
and you get killed, so absolutely not.
Oh God, can you imagine if they saw me with the machete in my hand?
Yeah, they're gonna freak the fuck out.
Jack gets scared by the windscreen wipers when they go.
Then he's definitely getting scared of a machete in your face.
He was crying
on a
in
big
the car
telly
the other day because the windscreen wipers were making a really loud noise. And I was like, "It's just squeaky, Jack. It's just squeaky." Don't worry about Daddy's machete in his face. Spoiler alert: if you've not seen The Shadow of Death, I die in The Shadow of Death.
That is a spoiler, but please watch it because it's free. Even if you watch it and go and do the washing up, it's good for us. The numbers are good for us because then people want to see our films. That's good.
Yeah, just put it on and let it play for 24 hours a day, please.
But yeah, watch it, and if someone else hasn't seen it, you watch it, then please share it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. So that's what we're doing for our next 3 episodes. But again, depending on scheduling, because we're going to have to try and bang out a few episodes in quick succession, which we might be able to do. And the one after that, those 3 I've just mentioned, should be our Christmas episode, but I won't talk about that one now. So that's everything. So it's just a little bit of housekeeping, and then we can say our goodbyes and we'll toddle off to our respective beds or whatever we're doing tonight. Wet dreams.
I'm editing the podcast.
I'll be dreaming about God again, probably.
Oh, I love you.
I love you so much. Well, we are the podcast on Haunted Hill. You know that because you've been listening to us. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We've been going for almost 11 years now, Gav. We're coming up to our 11th anniversary soon.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy, really. And we have always been and will probably always be a proud member of Legion Podcast Network. We're also under the Deadbolt Films, or the Deadbolt Media umbrella, I should say. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Legion is the network, and it hosts a bunch of horror movie and slightly horror adjacent podcasts. If you go to legionpodcasts.com, you can find all of our shows on there, as well as all the other shows for the other podcasts that are on there. And we're on Facebook, which is where we're most active, particularly October, which, as I said, I really thank everybody for taking part in 31 Days of Horror. If you go to Facebook and just search for the podcast on Haunted Hill, you'll find it there. Legion is on there as well, Legion Podcasts. Just search for that on Facebook. We have an email address, which is thepodcastonhauntedhill@outlook.com. If you'd like to email me and Gav anything, questions, etc. You can listen to us wherever you're listening to us now, because this podcast comes up. If you just Google it, it will come up. But it's on Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, Apple, Podcast Addict, and all the usual places. We're also on Instagram, the Podcast on Haunted Hill Insta, which is where we promote the show with a little collage of what we've been watching and a link to the episode as well for you Instagrammers out there. Mention Deadbolt, that's our production company. We've got lots in the works at the moment. We've done lots, short films, features, two of which we've mentioned, Preternatural and The Shadow of Death, are both available if you've got Prime. One is free, The Shadow of Death is free, would have to pay to rent Preternatural. And if you want to watch Sanctuary Moon, which is our last short we did, the Star Wars horror film with Ewoks in the woods, please go on YouTube and watch that, because we have a channel on YouTube with deadboltfilms.com.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm going to film tomorrow last couple of scenes for Amanda, our latest film, and it's got a couple more little bits and bobs to get done, but I've colour graded most of it, and yeah, it's a short one. It's just over an hour it'll be, but I want to be in and out with it, and it's a found footage movie, and it's pretty all right. I have to say so myself.
Gav, take it from me when I say
a while.
The short ones are sometimes quite good.
Yeah, someone watched it the other day. It's Andy, funny enough, and he said I wanted more, and I was like, I'd rather have people wanting more than wanting less. So
Alice always tells me it's not about the length. So
well, Host was 60 minutes.
I was just about to say that. That was fantastic.
The Blair Witch without credits is an hour and 11 minutes. It's not a very long film.
So YouTube, search for Deadbolt Films on YouTube.
Yeah, so we got those things going on, and the Comic Con that the guys just went to Fort Bubble Festival. Bone Idol Comics, which is like Podcast on Haunted Hill under the umbrella of Deadbolt. Ben and Tom went along and did it really well, and they were put up alongside the bigger tabled companies. They were put with those guys, which is really good, and they did really well, and they got some great contacts, an American distributor possibly, so we could possibly get comics printed in America to cut the costs of postage to America, so they can get left in America and distributed to the places they need to from there. So they met people like that, and they just did some really good chatting away to people, contacts and stuff. And
we have our fingers in a lot of pies. Comic books.
Yeah, it's doing really well. The comics are
short films. Yeah, we've also done some music videos recently as well, which we're really excited about and proud of. And there is another podcast which Gav does.
High Strangeness podcast with my lovely Sarah.
Recently covered
space.
Black Knight Satellite.
Yeah, we just done an episode because we hadn't, same as this one, done a podcast a long time because again I don't have an internet and I just hadn't seen Sarah for a long time. So we just didn't do a podcast. But we're going to do another one this weekend as well. So we're banging out another one. So,
great. So we're back.
Lost at Sea.
Excellent.
Doing our Lost series. Yeah.
Mary Celeste and all that kind of stuff.
I don't know.
Sarah's the investigator.
Yeah, she'll bring it to me. But yeah, Deadbolt's doing lots of things. We had a really good meeting recently, which I'm not going to say anymore, but I'll tell you once we finish recording.
It's been a good 2 years for Deadbolt.
It seems to be on the up and up at the moment. We've just appointed one more managing director, and then that's it, no more. And who's our head Dom, who's our head grip. Basically, our BA of our A team.
Perfect.
He's an engineer. We are starting to do other things where we are going into the distribution of making stuff for independent filmmakers. So Dom has actually made a fogger, which you use, you put canisters in it, and then you can fog up forests for filming. And they cost a lot of money, but Dom's made one, and we can get that made up and sell it as a Deadbolt product. And after that, we're hopefully going to try and make trolleys for on-set for carrying, but small ones which could be put into like briefcase size to carry around.
That's cool.
So we're going to think about doing that as well. So we've got loads of... It's just gone bizarre from what it started as. So
even the props and stuff that are being made.
Everything's just crazy now because we've got everyone is making stuff's really top notch at what they do.
So that's Deadbolt, which we're proud to be a part of, and weirdly it kind of came before the podcast actually.
Yeah, still hoping to actually make it a full-time job, being able to do working for Deadbolt Films or Deadbolt Media, should I say.
And lastly, we are also part of Patreon. So if you want to become a Patreon supporter,
thank you so much.
Support this show financially and help us keep moving forward.
Seriously appreciate it. It means a lot to us.
We really, really, really appreciate it. If you became a patron, then you would get to select what we watch, because every 3 episodes is a patron pick.
Did you like my DJ mix?
I did.
Did you? No, not you. The patrons.
I liked it though.
Did anybody listen to it? Probably not.
I'm sure they did.
It's not very long.
But that is one of the perks you get as a patron. Not only do you get to in rotation pick every 3 episodes, it will be your chance to pick the 2 films we review and have your sort of blurbs written out about why you've picked those films if you want. But you also get a free t-shirt and you get access to every show we've ever done, because every Friday we put up one of our old shows on Patreon, and we sometimes release bonus content such as Gav's Halloween Mega Mix. So yeah, if you want to become a patron, you don't have to do it, but we'd love it if you did. Go to Patreon, search for the podcast on Haunted Hill, or if not, if you can't find it, you can either message me on Facebook or go just to email me at thepodcastonhauntedhill@outlook.com. And now I will thank all of our patrons. So thank you ever so much to all of you guys. Thank you very much to Dante, Don Collier, Matthew Godley, Jamie Jenkins, Kevin S. Fife, Sarah Kay, Rachel, RJ McCready, and Lex Boo.
Thank you so much, guys. You've stuck with us for a while now, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been honestly about 5 years.
Yeah,
now
it's really cool. Thank you so much.
Really
and sorry we didn't get an episode out, but we just couldn't. I literally couldn't from the lack of internet.
Thank you to everybody for your patience, and as always for your support, for listening. Not just patrons, but everybody who even just jumps on the Facebook page or shares or likes.
Cut off from the world without the internet, and I was further away from everybody. Closer to you, actually, a little bit. Further away from everyone else, though. Yeah.
But yeah, so that is that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, not Sam Loomis, Dr. Loomis. Thank you, Freddy Krueger, for dialing in your performance. Sorry that we didn't talk in as much detail about the 2 films, but we'd much rather have talked about what we've been watching for Halloween, franchises, my dreams about God, and Gab's wet dreams.
We're just putting our toes in the water. We're just like dipping it in a little bit. Ooh.
We would have bored everybody if we'd have gone into detail on Halloween 5. Jesus. No. I'd have fallen asleep halfway through it.
No. I was hoping you were going to... There's parts, I think, in Nightmare on Elm Street. There's a note in Nightmare on Elm Street. It says, stuff happens. Dan will explain to you.
Dan didn't. Dan's just like...
Dan didn't.
A nun. Skateboard. Motorbike man.
I actually had it. Dan explained it to me. I said to message Sarah, I said, cool, that was hard work. It's all right. Dan's going to tell me what happened.
Well, we'll have a much more exciting time on the next episode when we cover Exorcist 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's it. Interesting, because we can then obviously talk about the original and just talk about that whole thing. And there's a lot of avenues for conversation.
Yeah, because your mother sucks cocks in hell. So, not yours.
Your mother washes socks in hell?
That's it, guys. So, listen, it's a good night from me. Fucking hell.
The enthusiasm is gone.
It's a good night from a skateboarding Freddy Krueger.
Aha! Prime time, bitch! Wrong one, though.
I'm going to do a kickflip.
Yeah.
That sounded more like Al Pacino. I'm gonna.
Oh yeah! I'm gonna do a kickflip. No, that don't even sound like him.
Oh. And it's a good night from Matthew McConaughey, scaring people with a wooden spoon. So listen.
All right.
Take care, everybody, and remember, if you've got an unborn child, make sure it's not dreaming about Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Night.
I don't know how you stop that, but yeah, make sure you look under your bed for Freddy Krueger skateboarding. Be weird if he is, because there's not going to be much room down there. But
you never know what Freddy can get up to.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night. Jamie, good night.